thing? Is that... Nah, I think you guys are just making stuff up. What is going on, guys and gals? Welcome to Friday. I am minus my better half because she's bad. She's horrible. Absolutely.
Wrinkling the dog.
Absolutely horrible.
She was playing in the leaves.
What's going on, everybody? Drac, what's happening? Our Friday is fantastic. How about yours? What is going on? Oh, holy hell. Welcome, Artyomj. Artyomj. What is going on? Welcome. He can get a new logo / emote, but you can't retype your name for crying out loud. This is just the ongoing joke, the joke that just keeps on giving. Artyomj. Lazy Dargan. Mathis, what's going on, Mathis? Good to see you. What is happening? Evan Flo, what's going on? Drago, what's going on? Lazy Dargan, what's happening? Houdini, I see you out there. Doke, I see you. Armans, you were first. What's going on? Angie Nash, what's going on? 15 more days till he can finally spell it right? Is that a thing?
You have to have it for a certain amount of time before you can change it?
Yeah. He messed up, and I think it's like 30 or 60 days or something like that before they let you change it, so you don't just keep spamming it. So, good to see you too, Dargan. What's happening? KTP, what's going on? Kenny's finishing on... I'm not getting on Discord. Sorry. Not happening. Discord screws the computer up. I tried to do it with Rob the other day. Not happening. The only time I can do Discord is when I pass it off to Kenny or I pass it off to Rob, because then I go jump on Discord on the other computer. It's a pain in the ass on this one for some reason. I still haven't worked it out, so. Kick him in his nuts. Tell him no. I told him no. I told him I wasn't doing it anymore. He doesn't listen to me. Kenny, you don't listen. I'm going to buy Kenny a box of Q-tips for his birthday. Captain Flashheart, what is going on? Found the solution to Crackle, a PVA base. Awesome. Yeah, that's what somebody else was saying, too. I never use it very much. Mini Addiction, what is going on? He can talk to the wall all he wants. Exactly. Exactly. What is happening? We are,
names in blue in chat are really difficult to read.
What's that?
There's names in blue, like this bright blue tonight in chat, and they're really hard to read.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just your monitors turned up or something.
Oh.
Art, did I get in on the Badger 54th birthday promo? Nah, I don't like Badger airbrushes much. I've got the Patriot that I use for priming, but nah. Nah. If I have my choice, I don't choose Badger airbrushes. Grex is my go-to gun, but the Iwata Neos that that you've seen me using quite a bit are awesome as well. So that's kind of where my wheelhouse is right now. I don't mess with anything else. But I know a lot of people that did, and it was awesome, right? Because you got in like some ridiculous half off or something like that. Now everybody's going to be like waiting on a Kingdom Death promo to get their stuff, because I'm sure they got pelted. I know their sales went through the roof because of that, which is awesome. John Patrick MCP, you put in your first order in the store. Pop your cherry. Thank you, my friend, for the support. That's awesome. That means it's out. You should receive it soon. All orders ship within 24 hours of you placing them. So I know that all the orders except for stuff that happened after noon today have already gone out. So.
Monday's a holiday.
Thank you so much. Yeah, oh, if Monday's a holiday, then I might do a run tomorrow. Because normally I don't mail out orders that come in past noon on Friday until Monday, but if Monday's a holiday, I might try to box them up and get them out tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see. No promises. You just lost a $500 Blood Angels commission because old boy didn't clear the expense with his wife? She's like, what do you mean you're spending $500 on little dudes? What? Because I hate the standard grips over the pistol grip. I don't hate them at all. I just prefer the pistol grip for sure. Right? But I just don't like Badger airbrushes either. I don't like the nozzle. I don't like the way the tip goes together. It's just a personal preference, They're not horrible. I just, like this one that I got, I only use it for priming, and I use it so if anybody had questions with a standard airbrush that I could show you the mechanism and how it works and how to clean it and maintain it and all that. So I have one, and I prime with it, but that's all I use it for. And I've used them for years and years before there were pistol grips, but it was the fact that he was spending $500 getting the little men to get painted because he already spent $500 to actually buy the little men. It's funny how that works. I don't know why people like determine they have to keep all this stuff secret from their woman. If their woman doesn't approve of their hobby, they're doing it wrong, right? That's the way I look at it. I may have a very unpopular view of this whole thing, though. So it's the Kenny raid. What is happening? Welcome everybody. Entire Mac, Praying Mantis, Azrael, what's going on? Rise from Ruin, what's going on?
I got logged out of Twitch.
You got logged out?
Yes, and I don't know how to log in.
Up at the top right.
Top right is search.
Oh.
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, huzzah.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome,
Throw
welcome.
back my legs and
Spiky
pollute my
Bits,
britches
Rob,
with delight.
13 freaking months. I know you don't really like me that much.
Get down with the clip.
What's the game, sir? What's the game, sir? Thank you, Rob. Welcome back, everybody.
Somebody likes us.
Support each other's hobbies or reassess your lives. Yeah, I mean, that's just my thing, you know. Super Toki, what's going on? Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Welcome if you're new here. If you have just been catching the first time, the Long War Convoy on a Friday. Hopefully you got to catch up with Key and Kenny and now me. I have not had any time on Twitch today, so I apologize. I'm usually lurking in Kenny's stream for the entirety of it, and I did not get any chance to even talk to people in Kenny's stream today. But we barely got here in time to get the stream started. But welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Jason. That over there is Jen. We represent Slow Fuse Gaming, and we're going to be painting 50s television style tonight, which means black and white. You got it. We're painting with only blacks, grays, and whites tonight. That's how this is going to run. No color. No color. Shinkai, what's going on? Voodoo Chow, welcome back. Crusader, what's happening? Good to see you. Batman fan, what's going on? Welcome back. You saw Shed today
Well,
pick
huzzah,
some stuff up
huzzah.
at his
I'll just
shop?
throw
Shed.
back my
His name is
legs
Shad.
and pollute my britches with
Shad,
delight.
not Shed, I think. If you're talking about Shad. S-H-A-D. Drakenfar with 13 freaking months. Drak, thank you, my friend, for the resub. Mucho apreciado. Shad. Did you tell him hi? I told him when you sent me a Facebook. I told you to tell him hi. So hopefully he's doing good. He worked at Games Workshop out west with me when I was there. Spend our money, however, as long as you have enough money to pay your bills. Well, I mean, you can't just go willy-nilly, right? But I'm talking more about the support of the hobby. Now, you can't do stupid decisions, right? You can't just be, like, blowing all your cash on little dudes.
Maybe save some money.
You know? But I feel like if you don't support each other's other hobbies, there's an issue, right? If something they do just pisses you off. But Scarlet Horror, what's happening? Catch us. It's 1 a.m. Come on, it's the weekend. Grow a pair. Stay up all night. Live like you're 15 again. Bulos, this is, we will be painting tonight from Wrath of Kings, one of the Shale Han factions. This is one of the Celestials, the Celestial host, and it's a big elephant. So we're going to be painting this dude in blacks and grays. It's going to be a study in value, the stuff that I always talk about. And, you know, we're always saying that one of the real good work-throughs and tests, personal tests for yourself, not like test in a classroom environment, but one of the best tests to go back to from time to time as a painter is to pick up a model and try to do it without hue involved, and just paint in black and white so that you can reassess your concept of value and volume on a model and push through to the end only using, you know, whites, blacks. Technically doing it in white and black, right? We're going to cheat. I said the other day I might not cheat, but I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go ahead and use pre-mixed grays. Otherwise, we'll spend the entire stream with me mixing my grays. So, Banana Beast, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Legendary. Oh, Azrael. If you put a nylon sock on top of your TV, will the black and white become color? Yes. Yes, I've heard that's the case. Also a tinfoil hat. Praying Mads, you love your bomb wick. Nice. Nice. Thank you for the support. Glad you got it. Maybe a paint line in the future, yes. We are working currently on a paint line. The update right now is that they are remixing based on all of my qualifications that I gave them feedback from the first testers that we did. If you were here during the stream one day, I don't remember what day it was, we tested some paints. I don't remember if that was a Friday, babe, or what was it?
It was not.
I feel like it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. But we did a test of the Slow Fuse Gaming branded paints, the round one, and we had some really good pluses and some really heavy negatives to them too. Which was really cool that everybody got to view that and give their own feedback on what they were seeing. Obviously, you guys didn't get to paint with them, but just seeing it, I think, was a good lesson for you, and the crowd was able to give me some feedback. So I sent all that off. They're remixing. We should get round 2 within the month, I would think, maybe sooner. And of course, then I'll be painting with them on stream every round we get in, see what they've changed. We're going with a much denser pigmentation in them because one of the bigger problems that we were having is that as we thinned them out, it was taking way too many coats to get coverage, to get to the opacity that I like. And, you know, again, the company that I'm working with is big in high-end art paste acrylics, but don't really do liquid acrylics. And so we're on a learning curve with them, trying to show them what to do without sending them paints. You know, I'm not a fan of like, hey, guess what? Here's a bunch of the paint we use. Copy that. So we're working with them and they're learning. So hopefully this round 2 should be really good. Keep our fingers crossed. Shoot your by with name and you did lol Batman. What? You're bad with names. You're bad with typing, I think is the thing. You need to just slow down and breathe while you type. Solomon, what's going on? Make him all green like Ganesha. We're painting with no color tonight, my friend. No color. Well, black and white. Those are technically pigments, but, you know, whatever. Too old for Scarlet or too old for all-nighters. Come on, man. Slippery Slope at age 26.
What?
Oh.
That's
Jen
when
and
you
I
should
could
be
do
in
an
your
all-nighter.
prime.
And we're like 73 or something.
I can't do an all-nighter.
She's like 72 and I'm 69. She's a cradle robber, but, you know, you get the drift.
Who believes that? Raise your hand.
She's like, who believes Fuse? Nobody, as usual. Dragon, are you going to be airbrushing or painting with brush? We're going to do a little bit of pre-highlight with the airbrush, but not much, and then we'll be doing it all off of brush. Red Coat with the 7 freaking months. Thank you, Red Coat. Muchos gracias. And Kenny, I see you stalking out there. I did not get a chance to drop into stream today. I apologize. Hope everything went well.
Hey,
You
somebody likes
believe
us.
that I'm
Cujo
older
with the follow.
than
Thank
him?
you. Thank you. Oh, yeah, Jen's got me beat by at least a decade. Notice how it keeps getting longer and longer as we go. By the end of the stream, it'll be like, she's 42 years older than I am. She looks good. She looks damn good. What about the SFG bag? It is on its way, Armin. It is on its way. We got the pictures. I posted up all the pictures on Facebook. You're on Facebook. Pay attention, man. The pictures of the new bag got posted on Facebook. They were teaser pics, so they weren't the whole enchilada because I want to wait and do that live on stream. But the pictures got posted and it's on the way. Hopefully I will have it in time to bring it to Southern California during the Long War Doubles next weekend. That is next weekend. Means we won't be streaming next Friday because I'll be there. With Kenny and the gang, Rob, Mike Haspel, Juice, the whole 9. We'll be out there hanging with the crowd and having some fun. But I'm going to bring the bag with me, assuming that it gets here in time. I'll be leaving early Friday morning, so it has pretty much all of next week to get here. Hopefully it does, and then we'll be gone. Paint test stream was actually really cool. Love to see round 2. Yeah, definitely, Broken Anna. I'm all about showing you as long as you guys are comfortable with watching it. I say comfortable, as long as it's nice to watch. I mean, it's basically me just goofing off with new stuff.
Siemens.
Siemens
That your audience has a problem with.
Hey, Artie, you got your own problems. It has nothing to do with me. Or Jen. Jen is like, we're both kind of grammar Nazis around here. So it's really difficult for us sometimes. We're both like, oh, cringe. Cringe. I'm the old man of the hobby. You know I'm lying. Oh, man. What? I even kind of like shaved my beard down shorter so it wasn't all old looking, and I got my little boy haircut going on. So I feel like I've got like the young thing. Somebody in stream like a week ago asked me if I wore a toupee.
So if you, Doka Smurf, what's going on here?
What?
Doka said that you look like you're maybe 28 at most.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Maybe 30. I'd give me 30. Come on, man. My beard is like silver. I have like Santa Claus
People
beard.
who are prematurely gray.
I feel like when I shave my beard down to just stubble.
I don't think that we look our ages.
No, definitely not. But I do, like, as my beard gets bushier and unkempt, then I look like a hobo, like a 60 some odd year retiree who lost all his money on the stock market and lives under a bridge. But when I shave it down to stubble, I can get away with looking a lot younger. It doesn't bother me though. I don't mind being old. Old ain't killing me. It's you people that are killing me. She looks 32 and I look, oh, come on, KTP. I muted you.
There's no way as low as 30, for sure 28.
Armin's Wrath got all the work going on. Oh, we're glad. Yeah, I'm just ribbing you, dude. Drago, I'm going to be very tired when I arrive. Should you have coffee ready? Nah. Nah. But I will be there on Friday. I'm not coming Thursday. I forgot to send you a message about that.
I'm Norgal thought that I was your daughter.
Yeah. Yeah, Jen's my daughter. My daughter, niece, sister, wife, whole nine.
Oh.
We're from...
Why don't you
Don't
donate
say
$5 to the
Great
cause?
Kendra.
We don't want to offend anyone
Thank you, my friend.
from those places.
Thank you, my friend. I looked younger in the unicorn costume? Oh, my God. You thought it was a Trump comb-over? It is. It's my Trump wig. Bastards. You're an English major and you cringe at all the things like, I could care less. It's I couldn't care less. I could care less. Well, then go care less.
Yeah. If you could, then you should.
Irregardless. I read something that irregardless has become an accepted
it has,
term.
Which bothers me. I don't like it.
Yeah, it bothers me too, but it has become accepted.
$10.96 donation received from Grant Kendall. Guess who passed
Batman
the
fam,
exam
it's
and
all good, man. I'm
actually
just
has a
ribbing
degree
you.
now.
I'm just ribbing you guys. You've been going gray since you were knee-high to the adults. I didn't go gray early, but when it came, it struck with a vengeance. Only on my beard. My hair is still like I don't color my hair. There's a lot of gray in there, but it ain't gray yet. So. You look like a biker bum. Hey, wait, what's wrong with being a biker bum? You're talking to one. Silver alerts to complement our amber alerts. So do we. I had to learn. I didn't remember what a silver alert was until I got to Arizona. There's enough of the snowbirds that come down here, all the retirees in the winter, that they got to have them because they just kind of wander off alone into the desert and they're never seen.
I think
from
that's
again.
like a national thing, probably.
Yeah, I think it
silver
is.
alerts.
Do we have an idea of how much the Slow Fuse Gaming bag is going to run? I'm currently doing the math on the import fees. I got to deal with all of that custom stuff and find out what the final overbar price for me is in hand, and then I'll let you know. I don't want to take a stab at it because they may come back at me with like real hefty shipping and customs clearance, and then I'll be like, oh, it doubled in price. But I don't think we're going to be that bad.
Did you see Grant Kendall says, guess who passed the exam and actually has a degree now?
Hell yes! Did you? Fan-freaking-tastic. That is awesome, Grant.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
What's the degree?
Let's get some hype in chat for Grant passing his test. I like it. I don't watch NASCAR. Oh my God.
What?
Go fast, turn left. Grecian formula. Is that the color for beards or
Oh
something
my gosh,
like that?
that's like old-fashioned.
Is it Grecian
Yeah,
formula? That's
Grecian
awesome.
formula.
I conversate with folks.
Just add some Nuln
Nice red coat. I'm right there with you. I'm 47.
oil to your beard and you'll be fine.
Oh, I never thought about that. I wonder if you drink the Nuln, will it change your hair color? Probably, to like green. You found gray hair on your 10-year-old the other day? What? What?
Her dad said it goes gray really early.
What? All right, let's do this. Let's start some painting. Welcome, everybody. Like I said, tonight what we're going to be focused on is going through on this Wrath of Kings Celestial Host Elephant, Oliphant. So he's one of the, I don't know, he's the avatar of... He's the avatar of something or other. I don't remember what it is, and I don't have the box here. Oh, I do have the box here. Hang on. Hold, please. I'll tell you exactly what this guy is. This is the avatar of the elephant. Who knew? Yeah. So anyway, these are fantastic models from Wrath of Kings. I really, really dig this Celestial Host. We started painting up one of the Kung Fu Pandas on stream with the Jade non-metallic armor. And we've got the Oliphant, so avatar of the elephant. I'm so old I can't even remember the simple things. I thought it was like the avatar of strength or something fun like that, not the avatar of the elephant. Like if I'm going to worship a god, I don't care if he's an elephant. I want it to be powerful. Not that elephants are weak. I'm not trying to get elephants mad at me, but not trying to offend the elephants out there. No, or put hair on your chest. I've lived my whole life without hair on my chest. I'm pretty okay with that. I've never really understood the mystique about, drink this, son, and grow hair on your chest. I'm like, just not really interested in all that.
Yeah,
I don't need hair on my chest.
okay with that,
Don't really need a lot of hair on my back. Don't really need any of this stuff going
don't
on. I
need
feel like
any
I'm
hair on
okay. I feel like I'm okay without it. All right, step uno is some airbrushing. We're going to do a little bit of pre-highlight. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about a lot throughout the course of the show today is that what we're doing when we paint in black and white and grayscale, basically, is going to be different in the way that we attack it than if we were doing the same kind of build-up process with colors and hues. You've seen me a million times go through and pre-highlight a model with the airbrush or by the brush. And most of those cases, I do it with white paint. We're not going to do it with white paint today. We're going to only do grays, and we're not going to push any whites onto the model during the pre-highlight phase at all. Can anybody take a guess as to why we will do it that way? Anyone? Anyone got an idea as to why when painting in black and white, you would not use white necessarily for your pre-highlight? We're going to start off with black-gray. That's the wrong one. This one is the right one, black-gray. Anybody got an idea? Local engineer and hobby enthusiast found trampled to death in his apartment with elephant miniature and rectum. Police suspect elephants. I feel like that might be the case. I feel like that's probably the last place they would like search. Do we have elephant? Oh, we do. Wasn't there an elephant at the zoo?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's elephants at the zoo here.
They had to keep them apart though because they weren't getting along.
Oh, did they?
There's two. Yeah.
They weren't getting along. They were in a
They
fight.
weren't getting along.
They were in a
having
spat.
little spat.
Lovers quarrel.
They were frenemies.
Lovers quarrel.
Jason
Same
just
reason as
learned-
painting white, you need somewhere to go. Voodoo Child, good, yep, very good. Because
Jason
if you
just learned the meaning of the word frenemy, by the way.
I didn't know what a
not
frenemy.
know
I mean,
what
I
a
could
frenemy was.
deduce what a frenemy was, but I hadn't really heard that term.
Dokasmurp said because white is too bright. I am Norgal said it's because you're low on white paint.
Because I'm low on white paint. No, but that's a good one. That's actually probably the best one. That's probably the best one. I'm going to make up a rule of painting to compensate for my lack of paint or my lack of technique and ability. It's like if I can't do it, I'll come up with some reason why it's bad.
These are good answers. Saturation becomes the, Dokasmurp said becomes the absolute peak bright color.
Yep.
Opaque shadow because pure white wouldn't let you work up to a proper highlight.
Yeah, it messes with the grayscale. Yeah,
Grim
it does.
dark.
It drives your volume up really high. And remember that when we do a normal model and we highlight it, when we do pre-highlighting, let's grab a model if we've got one around
Hold
here.
on, you got to hear this one because I like this one.
What's that?
Grimdark said because you can't take it to 11 if you start with white.
Okay. Okay. I'm okay with that.
This one goes to 11.
All of them are good answers, and all of them hint at the real reason. Because like if we were painting this guy in color, this is fine going with white, and the reason being is that we're putting a hue over the top of it. So if this guy was going to be Blood Angels, we'd paint red. If he was even if he was going to be Black Armor, we'd go over it with a glaze of black first. And the white is really just meant to boost up the underlaying value for the color that you put on top of it, so you can be a little safer. And as a matter of fact, you usually want to go to full bright white if you're going to then pump a color back onto it, especially with the airbrush, so that you get that change in tint, tone, and shade as you lay over your first color. If I were to hit this guy with, say, blue or red or any color right now, it would look like we had 3 or 4 colors of blue or red on him, because it's going to interact differently with the blacks, the dark grays, the mid grays, and then of course the bright whites at the end. So the color, it knocks down the value and allows you to then build back up off of it to take it to 11, like you said, right? Like Kenny likes to say, take it to 11 so you can bring it back down to the perfect 10. And you're right. When you're painting in grayscale, you don't want to push it to white because you're not going to layer another color over the top of it necessarily. You could go up to bright white and then knock it back down with blacks. There's no reason not to. But in general, it's much easier to just avoid white at the beginning, and it does then, for all those reasons you guys stated, allow you to push your value up where you need to, things like that. But here, we are going to sink color back over it, and it'll bring shadow and things onto the white and darken the white down into the mid-tones as we do so. But when we're working just in blacks and grays, we don't have that happening. So, like I said, we're going to start with black-gray, so we're just going to dump some in the pot. Couple drops. Almost out of freaking flow improver. What is happening in the world? Hit it with a little bit of flow improver. Get the world's second best brush, because the world's best brush is on a hiatus over there.
Aww, what happened onto it.
Well, it's kind of getting to the point where
somebody
it's
likes us.
so raw that it's going to start chipping the inside of the airbrush. Date, what's going on? Thank you so much for the follow. Yeah, the
should
world's
just
best
put it-
brush
we should
is
just put 'em
needing
up on a-
retirement. You know,
on
it's
a
getting to the point
shelf.
where the ferrule's loose and sharp and cracked, and you know, at some point in time when I, use it to mix in the airbrush, it's going to start scratching the chrome off. So, we're gonna say you're done, old boy.
Put it in a frame.
You've done good work, old boy.
Frame it and hang it up on the wall.
All right, so again, I'm just gonna, with the pre-highlight here, let's see, we're not gonna worry, he's got his club that goes out across the front, but obviously we're not gonna put that on there so that we can get these recesses
True.
handled.
Mathis wants to know what the mini is.
This is the avatar of the elephant from Wrath of Kings Celestial Host for Shalehan faction. There's a lot of words that don't make any sense, but just trust me.
Lazy Dargon said, well, sometimes you have to put a brush out to pasture.
You have to put a brush out to pasture.
Yep.
Hey, shh, don't say that. It might hear you.
Dragon said, why not start with white and use your wash game with gray and build up shade areas?
Nah. Nah, you could do that. I don't like using washes in the underlaying parts of a model. It's just my thing. You definitely could. A lot of people that I know that start with like white primer will go in with a null oil wash and stuff so that they can then, get shadows and recesses put back over their white primer. I just have never really enjoyed working that way. I feel like building up from darkness is the way that you get the most pop on your models. A lot of people, do it other ways and it works great. I think it's just whatever you're comfortable with. For sure, if you want to start with, even if you wanted to start doing the process that you'll see me do here with gray or white primer, I feel like white primer is kind of really working against you when you want to paint in grayscale. Gray could work okay, and then of course dropping like a null oil or a black wash or a very dark wash over it has a lot of functionality to get you shading back in there. But remember that a wash only falls on the model the way gravity wants it to, not the way light falls. Light doesn't have weight, so it doesn't fall like gravity. Whereas wash is going to sink into recesses. Shadow doesn't always sink into recesses. It goes where there's lack of light. So here, where I can aim my airbrush at an angle like light does, then I get a much better coverage. So it's just much easier when you're doing this kind of style of painting to start from dark and lay the white over as it were a fake light source, so to speak, or an imitation light source like we're doing now. So I'm just going through, aiming down at the feet, get a little gray everywhere. Goal here is that I don't want anything to be pure black at this point. If we need pure black, we'll add it in off the brush. So again, because of our angle, you can start to see the sheen of that black gray giving us that shadow back on the model, right? So it's falling. I'm seeing lines in between the shadows like a wash would create, right? And everywhere else. But in those areas where the airbrush isn't going to hit because he's kind of hunched over, I got pure black, and I don't want that. So I'm going to go in and, again, with kind of a downward angle on him, go ahead and layer in a little bit of black gray on the areas like the
Hey,
thigh
somebody
pads.
likes us.
Epian 003, thank you for the follow.
Thank you. Welcome. Back my needle out just a hair. There we go. So I'm still angling down so that the light is coming from the top, just so I can get like the top of these gut plates, top of the thigh, angling down the shin a little bit. Inside of the leg, foot. Knot on his crotch. Crotch knot. Because, you know, all of my finest clothing outfits have got crotch knots. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like you're not living right if you're not packing a crotch knot.
A crotch knot.
Honey, come on. You know you like my crotch knot outfits.
I don't know what a crotch knot is.
It's that thing.
Thing.
Crotch knot. Looks
I
like his
can't see
dingling's
this.
hanging out of his pants, but it's like a big knot of fabric.
Oh.
It's Avatar the elephant thing. You know,
Oh,
if you were an elephant
now I
worshiper,
get it.
you know, you'd have it. All right. Again, the key is not to turn the whole model black-gray here. It's just to make sure that I've got enough coverage up underneath, like on the underneath of this hand, where it might look like it's pure black, just to shed a little bit of value in there.
Sky slash or sky slash. You have to be logged in, so make sure that you're logged in, and then you can upload.
Remember that we don't take a look at whip until the very end. All right, I feel like that's pretty good. We'll move on to gray real quick. I'm only probably going to do 2 stages. I might pump a little bit of light gray on here. I doubt it, though.
Kenny said it's a cock knot.
Cock knot! I mean, I feel like all of your finer clothing, right, especially all your formal wear needs a crotch knot, you know? And a sack of sacks.
Well, huzzah, huzzah. I'll just throw back my legs and pollute my breeches with delight.
Wrath of Taz, 6 freaking months. Thank you, my friend. Welcome back. Thank you so much for all the support, gang. Mucho apreciado. You can't get this airbrush to work continuously here. What the hell is the problem? Nozzlerino, Cloggerino. Is that what I'm dealing with here?
Well,
There we go. What's that?
looks like Michael just has some good road rash.
Okay.
Got a big old scrape on his knee.
Our friend's kid got hit by a car riding his bike right before the stream started, so waiting on news and updates to make sure he's okay. Sounds like Jen said, he probably just got some road rash. Not great. I'm going to skip up to neutral gray here. Neutral gray is exactly that from Model Air. It is a neutral color, no hue shift to it. It's not blue, doesn't trend towards yellows or greens or anything reds. It's just gray, right? Bump up a little bit of lightness. We'll see how this hits it, and then we'll go from there as determining if we need to go any brighter. I don't really want to with the airbrush because the scope of this is really to show you your lighting placement via, your brain rather than...
So Kenny said he was typing an email while listening to the conversation and subconsciously typed
somebody likes
Sack
us.
instead of Kenny.
Thanks, Sack. Mucho apreciado.
also
20
clicked
scoops.
send.
Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Instead of typing my name, I typed Sacks. That's so awesome. Kenny, this is why we love you. All right, so again, I'm just going to set him back up. My lighting source is kind of off of left shoulder is where I'm intending here. So I'm just going to hold, again, about 6 inches off the model. I'm going to come in here with the lighter gray. It's not liking me. Airbrush. Why you do this? There we go. Yeah, it's farting up. Hang on a second, guys. I'm going to have to probably take the nozzle off of this real quick. Because it does not seem...
Hey, somebody likes us.
Gunslinger 202.
Gunslinger,
thank
love the
you.
name. What's happening? Let's see if I can't get lucky here and get this to... Nope. There we go. A little bit better. Use it while we got it. If it gives up on us, we'll just push it all with the brush. That's working a little bit better though. Again, just maintaining that same angle. Even down on the thigh here, a little bit towards the foot, trunk, ears, blah, blah, blah. All right, lighten him up a little bit. Now you're starting to get the effect of that.
It looks like something that...
What's that?
What is he holding? It looks like
it's
it
a
would
big
swing, but has a blade or something on the end.
Yeah, it's a big.
Oh, I see. It's
a big
another
club
piece.
with dual kind of blades on one end, but I can't put this one on because it'll cover up too much of the front of him.
Got it.
So we'll wait till later for that. A little bit of glow on the reverse, not near as much as we put on the other side. I want a little bit down the back.
Batman fan wants to know if you have any tips on paint vehicle.
On what?
Maybe on painting vehicles. I haven't painted one in years,
Painting vehicles?
I guess.
So it depends on the vehicle type, obviously, you know, and how you want to go about it. With tanks, we talk in terms of like whether or not you're going to modulate your highlights, how you want it to look, what kind of weathering you're going to do. Vehicles are very much their own set of challenges. But ask, you know, a more specific question, and I can help you while we're not painting a vehicle. Otherwise, I can next Wednesday. During the whip stuff, I can make sure that I've got a vehicle to show you some techniques on.
Well, huzzah,
The biggest
huzzah.
key
I'll
is
just throw back
airbrush.
my legs and
Jay Heaver,
pollute
what
my
is going on?
britches with
11
it.
freaking months. Thank you so much. Airbrush is your savior when painting vehicles. Unfortunately, brush, no matter how large the brush you use, is never going to give you the smooth paint consistency without spending a bajillion hours doing it. So, you know, an airbrush or just going through and basing with rattle can can work sometimes, as long as you're comfortable with, you know, rattle can to the point where you're not, you know, layering on so much paint that you eliminate detail, like hinges and stuff like that. But the big key is determining how you want to highlight from panel to panel, because a lot of times the vehicles in our miniature world have got, you know, armor plates, things like that. So you can't simply paint the bottom dark, the middle mid, and highlight the top, because each of those panels kind of wears in its own. So you wind up going panel to panel and highlighting each of those to some extent, and then kind of, you know, bringing the whole model together. So
I just picked up a Predator.
Yeah, so rhinos and stuff. I don't think,
Trying to
unfortunately,
get
they're too big for my little
candy
thing
red.
over here, but
Trying to get a candy red.
I mean, we can show the chibi tank, right? And you can see how on this one, notice how I've kind of spot highlighted panel to panel so that the dark around the edges still comes through, as opposed to just painting the whole thing as if it's one big block of armor and going dark, middle, light, like you would with a normal figure. You have to start thinking like, you know, the turret has its own like light kind of grime around the bottom, shine around the top, dark band in the middle, and then paint the top. And we've gone kind of with this panel highlighting where I've highlighted kind of towards the center, dark around the edges where the grit and the grime builds up around all the rivets. But each of these panels starts to take on a life of its own, right? That makes sense? As opposed to, like I said, you don't want, like if this highlight line across these segregated panels was just a straight line, it loses a little bit of the realism. You can definitely do it if you're looking to go quick. But those are kind of the biggest points to go into. And then it's just a lot of detailing, right? It's a lot of brush time. All right, so we're pretty good starting out here just with light across the shoulders. We've got that kind of nice, dull highlight. Again, because we're going to paint this thing entirely in grayscale as a study in light, we don't want to push up too much brightness. We want to rely on our brush so that we can alter textures and things as we go. Another big reason why we don't go after this with white like we would pre-highlighting something we were going to paint a color, right? So here's pre-highlight on just a marine. where we've amped it up quite considerably off of just the gray. Right now you can see the gray, and you can see how the highlight works and how it gives us kind of that cheat sheet to guide where light would fall on the model. Notice how it's nowhere near the value that white pushes. So here though, the white makes it to where none of these textures can really be anything different, right? I can't really go in and alter the texture because everything's at such a high value. So here, one of the reasons I chose this model is because we have, lacquered armor plates, we've got elephant skin, we've got non-metallic metal, we've got, obviously metal blade, metal casing around the club. The club itself is wood. We're not going to get to that because it's not going to get painted this round. Probably some fabric or heavy leather plates. Yeah, fabric on his legs. So this guy, like I said on Wednesday, I really wanted to come up with something that had a lot of textures to show you how, when you're not painting with color, normally when you're looking at this model, and you think, okay, well, in order to give it a feel that everything on the model is different, I've got X color armor, X color skin, X color on the fabric, and sometimes we don't worry about texture. It's just the fact that it's a different color shows that it's a different thing on the model, and people deduce from the sculpt what it is. Folds in this make it look like fabric versus flat armor plates, pleated, maybe heavy leather, laminated armor there, and things like that. Metal rings, the sculpt tells a lot of the story. But when you remove hue from that and you have to just work in black and grays, now you have to think about interesting ways to go back and put texture on it. And one of the goals of doing these kind of tests on yourself is to find out how much of that texture you're comfortable adding in just with the brush, and then bringing out the look of leather without having a brown to use, right? It's going to be the same grays and blacks that the rest of the model is. So let's get after it.
So Dragon said, will you use just layer or glaze really? Will you use just layer or glaze really thin paint on this model to build up your grayscale?
Yeah.
Or will you use wet blending? If glazing or layering, how many layers will you use between black and white?
Well, I guess you'll have to wait and see because each thing's going to be different. One of the keys is that altering your tone, right? Remember that when we talk tint, tone, and shade, tint is adding whites or brighter value to your base color. Our base color here, consider our base color to be, mid-tone gray, neutral gray, right? So if we consider this to be our base color when we're doing black and white, then tinting, adding white to this into like bright grays and ultimately white itself. And then toning this, which is adding in darker grays so that we can get, a little bit of that mid, and then shades, which ultimately take us all the way to black. All right. It just depends on what we want to do with each area, like the skin. How much more or how much lighter or darker do we want it over the armor? And that's the whole goal of the test, because what you're dealing with here is lack of contrast through hue. So I can't put, blue next to yellow and get that contrast that those colors offer you being positioned next to one another, or purple and green, or any of those things that offer really neat pop by the hue alone. I have to really start thinking, is the armor going to be shinier, hence brighter, than the skin? What's the story I want to tell? Or is the armor dull and the skin bright? And make those decisions, because those are then going to guide your hand onto how much of that layering you said with gray, how much dark, how much layers, or how many steps are going to go between my contrast. So that's what we'll be talking about the entire time. Shinkai, how would you build up a black colored skin, like the color black, not a black, not like African skin, but actual black? Same thing. You basically are going to start, generally when I'm doing skin, I would start and work up to a brighter gray and then glaze black back over it, so that you get that depth, right? You pull all your grays back down into the realms of black so that you don't, because anytime you're working with black, the trouble that we always talk about is that you have to highlight it. As you highlight it with grays, black grays, to get any kind of contrast to it, it starts to look more gray than anything else. So you can over highlight it, like what we've talked about before with the pre-highlight, and then, like do like this. Imagine this was all flesh. Do like this and then glaze back over it with black paint, so that you drag that white down to being a mid-tone gray, and all of those dark grays become just super dark, almost blacks. Right? You saw us do it if you were here watching like the Darth Vader pinup, when we worked through some of the black armor that we were doing, and like the black on the legs and stuff, and the shoulder here that you can see. We took it up to a brighter gray, kind of like down here where we've got like that shine, the light is kind of washing it out. You can see that it's actually very black on her shin with just bright kind of reflective shine to make it like glossy black armor, right? But we actually, when we were painting, it actually looked more like what you see here, where the light's blowing it out, where we had more bright gray and white, and then when we layered the black back over it, it pulled all that down like that. So that's the key when you're doing black. Now, if you're doing skin, you might not want it that shiny, so you might not push it all the way up to white. You might hold it at bright gray and then layer the black over it. It dumps all those grays back down and gives depth to your black, value to your black. And then you can kind of, pinpoint where you want to add a little bit more mid-tone gray or light gray for highlights on tops of shoulders, cheeks, things of that nature, if you're going for pure black skin. Wrath of Taz, what is happening? Oh, that candy red that we were talking about, though, Batman, like, if you're, because you were asking me about clear red Tamiya paints, an easy way to do that is with metallic bases and inks, red inks over the top, or metallic and then thin, very thin red paint to get that candy red effect. But the metallics, if you're doing a vehicle that way and you want candy red on your vehicle like that Predator you're talking about, you're going to want to paint your vehicle by shading your metallics. You'll work your metallics where all your dark and light highlights and everything, so the tank itself will have a varied range of dark like gunmetals and dark iron colors going up to silver, and if you choose to do silvers as the base, or tins and coppers as a base moved up to bright gold if you choose to do gold. Either work well for reds. You're going to get a much warmer red if you use gold, and a much more candy looking color if you use silver. But you want to do all your shading in your silvers so that the red just lays over the top as a filter that gives you that candy red feel and maintains all the shadow and highlight that you did on your metals.
Somebody likes us.
If you try to do all your highlighting with your red, you'll overtake the metals and lose the kind of the shine that it gives you.
Hey,
Big Daddy Wook, what a great name. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. If you're new here and hanging out in the background, welcome. Have you ever done this exercise with a hue and a darker hue, like bright green and dark green, like just a monochromatic scale? Yeah, sure, you can do the same thing, right? I mean, that's really all we're talking about with grayscale is just monochromatic. If you wanted to do this and you had blues, and you just wanted to use pure blues throughout, you can do the same thing. It's just that black and grays are going to give you the ability to track your volume a little better because the hue isn't distracting. So as a test, but you can do it with whatever color. Just stay in one monochromatic range and do the same thing. Sure. Oh, show. All right, so I am going to be using some new brushes. Uh-oh. Look out. Look out. So another little surprise for tonight is that we've been taking feedback on the Bombwick brushes, and some people would really like to see a more artist round, something with a little bit more full body and a little bit more snap, a little bit longer, well, basically akin to the Winsor Newton Series 7s. So Viola, we are going to be, hopefully, in the near future, offering a set of Bombwicks that are much akin to the Winsor Newton shapes. So that if you would like to have, that deeper well, that snappier tip, with a longer bristle to it, that you'll be able to get that. Let me get, where's my one? My Bombwick 1. Why do I not see? Oh, it's my good brush.
Hot Diggity Taco wants to know if you're adding color to this piece.
That's a freaking awesome name, by the way. Just to tell you.
You just have to say it that way, too.
Hot Diggity Taco.
Hot Diggity Taco.
So the number 1 on the left is the current Bombwick, right? And the number 1 on the right would be the new style, right? Max27, 13 freaking months. Thank you, my friend. Much thanks. Love and respect. So you can see that the much akin to the standard like Winsor Newton Artist Round, you get about, probably about 30% more length on the bristle. It does away with the straight taper that I like on ours, right? And gives you more of that barreled taper with a bigger reservoir for paint. A lot of people like to paint that way and like that snap that the extra length is going to. They call it snap. Technically, it gets less snap, but it feels like the tip is springier when the brush is longer. So you get a little bit of extra tip spring on the brush. So we're going to paint with these tonight just to see if I like them. We just got the samples in today. They don't have any, there's no logo on them yet, but we will play with those. And for the person that asked whether or not we're going to be adding color, no. The study tonight is to do what we would normally be doing with things in color, finding value and volume and all the things that we do as far as like metallic, if we're doing like non-metallic armor or this ice armor that we're doing on our demon here, and the skin and the flesh tones, and dragging in, kind of those cool shade transitions in the inner thigh, doing it all in grays. And the reason for that is to challenge yourself to get your brain to think about things in terms of light and volume that light gives the model versus relying heavily on hue. So instead of, finding contrast on your model because something's painted brown and it's right up next to a bright green thing, and that makes one look bright and one look dark, which is true, but it doesn't mean light versus shadow. It means a bright color versus a dark color, and that doesn't necessarily give life to the model. It does bring contrast. So this is kind of a way to really revitalize your thought process to say, okay, if I just paint this using white and black to get contrast on here, it's going to look silly, right? It's going to look like some sort of checkerboard kind of a thing. So we're going to have to play very carefully with all of our grays in order to make skin look different from metal, look different from wood, look different from cloth, all right? Because we don't have color to do that for us. So it's a little bit of a challenge. You'll take 1 million of those? Oh, I'll have to up the order then, because we're not ordering 1 million.
Absent said, sweet, looks like I'll be buying some new bomb wicks. I like them fat belly brushes.
You like that fat? What is it?
Fat bottom girls.
Yeah. No, I like big brush and I cannot lie.
Like big brush.
Enigma, what is happening?
Thanks, Enigma.
Oh, shush. Shush.
Time to play my Grease 2 soundtrack in the background, watch the stream, and paint some freaking terrain.
Shush. Okay, so what I want to do here, because I don't have hue again, so I don't have the balance of color to help drive me, is start thinking in terms of what's going to actually be some of the brightest content on the model. And I think we're going to paint it as if this is kind of a metallic, a non-metallic metal shoulder plating here. I like that idea. It's going to drive that pretty bright and set the tone for our value on the upper part of the model. So I think we'll start with a shoulder plate, do it in kind of a non-metallic metal sense, and then it'll give us an idea of how dark or light to go with our skin to balance that out. And then, of course, this will be non-metallic, and we'll have a lot of metals down here as well, but that'll let us drive onto our skin, which then carries on. It'll set the tone for the metal across this helmet. And then I don't know if the top here would be, I guess it would be metal all the way around.
That's like a hat, right?
Like golds and such like that. So let's go.
Is that a hat?
Yeah, it's like a hat.
Oh, okay.
It's like a hat. I was trying to figure out if it was like is it a puffy hat? But I don't think so. I think it's going to be, it's metal. It's just indented like the top of a temple.
So Voodoo Child said, that elephant has a Mo haircut.
He does.
But it's the hat.
Shut. All right. All right. I got to go and do the hard stuff. Dang it.
Night, Nurgle. Have a good weekend.
What? Out of here. That's not allowed. That ain't allowed. Take it easy.
Fat belly brushes, they make the hobby world go round.
All right, so I'm going to come in with a neutral gray on the palette first. Again, when we do any kind of non-metallic, and especially when we're working in grayscales, we just want to start thinking about how our bright reflections and shadow reflections are going to work on here, and pick if our light source is kind of hitting over his shoulder here, then I'm just going to where our light fell. You can see we're brighter kind of in this radial area right here on the shoulder. So I'm just going to start pulling to there and assume that our dark line, we'll have like a dark horizon line that falls across the plates this way, right, at kind of the bottom. Like you can see kind of right now how that shadow line goes bang, 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 and then it disappears up here, but we'll go ahead and carry it on. But we're going to go ahead and push our brightest spot here and around, fade it to dark around the side. So I'm just going to come in, start pulling my brightness this way.
So Dragon would like to know, could one just slap some white on the model and say, okay, those are my brightest spots, and then blend into darkness from there?
You could very well, yeah. If you felt comfortable doing that, you definitely can. I call that blocking in, and you'll see me do it from time to time when I know that I'm going to, especially when I'm going to be layering a color over it, then yeah, I'll do that quite a bit. Because we're not layering any colors over it, I have to be a little bit more careful here. So I don't cause myself too much work. Right. because we have these spikes hanging out here, I'm only going to get a bright spot. I have to kind of blend from the spike down to the middle here. Not really a spike, it's more like a fin. Notice how my brush stroke just allows that gray to build up right along where I'm going to have that reflection line. Yeah, now my darkest spot is gonna go right along this bright edge as I build it up, and then fall back into a light gray, probably somewhere right around this turn here. So I'm gonna very lightly kind of come in. So underneath. Grab my light gray. Using model air for all of these. When I say gray, neutral gray, light gray, everything you'll see me use tonight is model air, except for the black will be model color, and the white, of course, will be slow fuse white.
Enigma, you can visit the store by going to slowfusegaming.com because that is its only location. We don't have a brick and mortar location. Enigma said, I'm coming to Phoenix in February. Can I come visit the store?
Well, we're going to meet you in a couple of days, so we'll see if you vet. Pass the test. Again, I'm just light strokes, letting that paint build up off the brush stroke right along that line, so you can see a little bit more brightness right along that shine line that I'm aiming for.
There's a teat? Oh.
What's that?
He said, wait, there's a teat. And I thought, like, there's a teat on the elephant.
A teat?
Like teats.
Yeah, teats.
He said test. It was supposed to be test, not teat. Like, what kind of model is this? I thought it was all covered up and had a crotch knot. Where do you see a teat?
Not near as much bright gray down here, but I'm going to go ahead and push a little on here. May alter this as we get the brightest spots on the rest of the pad figured out, but for now I'm going to go ahead and just lay in a little bit across the bottom there too. Also, I'm going to go ahead and grab the edges of all these plates now that I'm doing the light gray. This edging will probably go away as we paint more, but it helps me to see that kind of metallic edging start peeking out. Otherwise, it's real late in the process that you really get the feel for a metallic. So you kind of get to cheat it, right, by giving just a little bit of brightness to the edges as you go. Even though, like I said, you're going to cover all this up.
There's no muscle stronger than the human
Army
heart.
shot!
What about the wiener?
David the
A guy
sub.
on TV lifted a can of paint with his.
Yes.
Is that a level 2?
Yeah.
Holy hell. Thank you so much, RB the man. Coming in with that tier 2 sub. Never forget, strongest muscle in the body is the human heart. What about the wiener?
Boshek. What's up? So one more name wants to know if you're going to stream Painting Morty next weekend.
Assuming that Enigma's internet can fulfill the needs, then the answer is yes. But I never promise anything because it's not my internet. Don't know. We'll get set up and see if it all works. Run a test probably early Saturday, maybe late Friday when I get there. And if all goes well, then yeah, we'll be able to stream some painting and goofing off. I know I think Kenny was talking about wanting to have at least some sort of live, presence, updating people on the tourney and all that kind of stuff too, so that would be kind of fun. I'm bringing all my lighting and all that stuff, but yeah, all the lighting breaks down actually fairly easy. So.
This room's going to be empty. I'm going to be able to come in and do cartwheels,
It's not gonna be empty.
backflips.
It's not going to be empty. I'm not bringing my desk.
Oh.
It's not going to be empty. Not even a little. All right, now I am going to jump to white right now. I may wind up blending this back with, a blend of white and light gray, but for the time being, I want to set the brightest value on this armor real quick.
Enigma said they have the fastest internet that Time Warner
Hey,
has.
somebody likes
Awesome.
us.
Awesome.
Goblin King.
Goblin, you figured that one out.
I did.
Holy hell, that's
That's
awesome.
like a license plate. I can figure out those vanity plates pretty well.
Let's
good
get some
at
hype
that.
in chat for Jen actually reading the name correctly. What's going on, Goblin King? Thank you for the follow. All right, let's zoom in a little bit here for you guys.
And he said they'll have you on a private section of the router.
Nice.
Well, huzzah, huzzah. I'll just throw back my legs and
paintication.
pollute my britches with
Dragon
delight.
said thanks for the paintication.
Thank you. And thank you for that sub. Who was that?
Dragon.
Was that Dragon? Oh, thank you. Thank you for all the paint. Again, notice how each time I'm coming in, my brushstroke is always leading me to the brightest spot, as long as I'm bringing in brighter colors, that is.
Hey, somebody likes us.
Hey, Coach Gaming, what is going on? All right, so you can see that reflection starting to build up on there. Very, very wet. You can notice how thin the paint is. For those of you that are familiar with how I paint, you've been here for a long time, you know that I paint with damn near just dirty water most of the time. Kind of like a watercolor. With white, it's a little hard. That's why we use our Slow Fuse Gaming white. You can pick it up over at the store, slowfusegaming.com. We hand mix our whites. From very good artist color, as
somebody
opposed
likes
to
us.
these hobby whites that suck so bad.
Hiram Man.
Welcome.
Thanks for the follow. That one I probably said wrong. Enigma said I feel like I can't take Slow Fuse seriously without the unicorn hat on.
I feel for you, my friend. I feel for you. Light gray. These things, forgot about these things over here. These, you'll notice I'm attacking with kind of a triangular glow to them, picking from the right side and then kind of bringing them up towards the left, the little outlying slats on that armor. I'm going long on the right and bringing it up short on the left.
You taking the unicorn hat to California?
I could. Is that a thing?
I don't know, still one more name's asking.
Depends. Why are you asking? What are you looking to get out of the unicorn hat? I got to feel safe. I have to feel secure first, and then we can talk. You got to prove to me that there's no hanky-panky about to happen. Reverse that, and well, I say that I'm going again high on the right, low on the left over here.
He plans on stealing it.
Oh, well then no, it's
There.
not coming.
I said it.
Did he say don't tell him that?
No. No, he said, I plan on stealing it. There. I said it.
Yeah, so that's not a thing. Last time I checked, that's not the way you sell things. It's like selling the car, like, yeah, this car doesn't run for shit. Would you like it? All right, back to some white. Treat that white really thin. It allows you to play around with it a little bit. It doesn't immediately go to full opacity. So if if it's too bright or feels like, oh, that's not, don't really want to over brighten that area, then this allows you, this white will dim down as it dries because it's so thin. And it'll allow you to play around with it for a couple of layers before actually setting that upper value. I can play with these corners and see exactly how much I want to add on.
Enigma wants to know if there's purple in the blacks.
No, just gray. No hue at all. None at all. I'm using true neutrals on all the colors. So there is no hue shift in my grays, no blues, no purples, no nothing.
Batman fan said a sad joke where the guy said he'll sell this car and it has a push start. You get 10 of your friends and you push the car and start it.
You got
Push
it.
start. There you go.
High tech. Pay extra for that. All right, so we're starting to build up the metallic on there.
I was going to say it looks like metal. Supposed to?
Yeah, we're going for metal shoulder plate. We'll do that with all of the armor on the head and all of that. And because shiny metal tends to have the highest value on a model, right? If we pick up our gold, right? Our non-metallic gold tends to take over, right? So it has sometimes the highest value, even though we almost push the hair on this guy to white, the value on the armor still competes with that. So when you want to paint in blacks and grays, I'm always trying to find what is the beacon on the model that's going to poke out the most visually, and then build everything else from that, rather than starting with kind of the skin, which is not going to be very bright on an elephant, right? So I'll start with this on the armor so we get that kind of brightness going, and then this will help me figure out how to do the skin, how to push it to where it doesn't look like our metal, because we don't have the benefit of color when we do this.
What is this elephant avatar?
Avatar of the Elephant.
Avatar of the Elephant, Wrath of Kings?
Wrath of Kings, yep. It is from the Shale Han faction from Wrath of Kings, cool mini or not. Avatar of the Elephant, it comes in the Celestial Host box set that also has the Avatar of the Monkey that we've used for pre-highlighting, and then the Avatar of the Snake models, and then Avatar of the, it's Kung Fu Panda. I don't know if it's Avatar of the Bear or whatever.
Dragon said, what is your thought process right now? Trying to develop contrast between all the different areas of the mini specifically the skin. Are you leaning towards medium or darker gray for the skin on this elephant, or am I way off?
Pretty much darker gray. But, you know, again, we've got to plan each step as it goes and figure that out, because if we go too dark, then how is it going to look different from other things that we also want dark, like the banding on the front of the armor, perhaps. The stuff, all the stuff that's not metal has to look dimmer than the value we're setting on the metal right now, right? So I'm sketching in all of this brightness and darkness on my metallics so that I can get a feel for how all the metal areas are going to look, and we'll do that on probably the helmet and a couple of these discs here, so that then we can go back and work on the skin. You know, because we want to sell it as having a different color, right? Because it you know, when you watch black and white movies, everything was really in color, right? Just the film couldn't accept the color. They couldn't develop it with color at the time. And so those colors all have just a little bit of value shift and tonal shift in the grays, right? There's not going to be any hue to them. You're not going to have blue grays, purple grays, yellow grays. That's not how that works. It's all just neutral grays. But they all are just, you know, even a fraction of a value higher makes it look like a different material, or can if you play along with the texture. Now, here the sculpt is pretty good on the skin and such, so we should be able to pull off, you know, some pretty fun things. But yeah, it's right now, if there's a mindset, the mindset is to lock in one thing on the model. Pick. What do you want to lock in? I always suggest when you're doing a test like this to lock in what your brightest value on the model is. It doesn't mean that you're going to paint it as bright as it's going to be at the end of the day. It means that you're going to start off here, right? Like I'm painting this white on here right now. We may brighten that white up as we go because we find we need more value on some of these other things to sell them as, you know, highlights on skin or highlights on, you know, whatever fabric. And so we might have to come up and bump this white even higher. Right now I'm painting so thin that we still have a little bit of level we can push it up. Make sense? But if I start, at least, with this area that I know is going to be, quote-unquote, the brightest on the model, then it sets the stage for everything else that I want to do. I'm liking this brush, by the way.
Good.
I literally just pulled the cap off of it when the stream started, so.
Did you clean it first?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. Pulled the cap off, cleaned them all before we started the stream. Real good control.
Patrick McP said there are some great color pictures online of the set of the original Addams Family TV show, and it's insane all the weird colors they used to make it come out correct in black and white.
Right, because they have to work reverse of what we're doing here. They have to actually choose things that when you see them in black and white, give depth to the picture. Because if it's all in, you know, greens,
stuff, yeah,
then all of it's going to look fairly... But yeah, I can imagine, right? There was a whole art form. I watched a film once about how much of a struggle that was in The Wizard of Oz, which was the first color movie,
Well, huzzah,
right? And it started black and
I'll
white,
just
and
throw
how
back
much
my
trouble
legs
they
and
had
pollute
My
my
Lord
britches
Matron.
with delight.
Thank you for the sub.
with having to make all of those props and everything twice. One set for the black and white and one set for the color. Because the color ones didn't look right when they shot them for black and white. Right, it's looking pretty good. I want to put a little bit of brightness right in here if I can. Pull a little triangle of shine up from the bottom of each of these plates. I'm not going to push it as far as I am on the main shine line, but just a little right here because of this fin kind of bisecting the pad, the plate. I want to give it a little bit of shine up across the top, but I'm not going to push that as bright as this secondary one here. Give us a little bit of a secondary glow right there as well. Punch these corners up a little bit because now that they've dried, they're a little too dim. That's a pretty good representation of what I want to see on the shoulder plate itself. Right, we've got a lot of work we got to do to that, but for now, it's a pretty good representation. A little dark under here. And to get a little bit of my light gray if we've got it left here. Helps a little bit. It's good enough. I don't know what I want to do with these fins yet, so I'll determine that later. I don't know if I want them to look like they're maybe a different material altogether. Like maybe they would be painted. I feel like on the, what do we do on the jade guy? We started doing this same type of scheme in color with the bear dude. We were starting to do his gold when last we touched him, the non-metallic golds on him. We didn't get very far with him, did we? And yeah, I was painting those fins that come out a different color altogether, even the ones on the side for him. We'll go ahead and stay with what we got. All right, now I'm going to move on to this arm plate. What I want to focus on right now is kind of working from the shoulder plate down to the wrist, get the metallic kind of laid in and roughed in like we've done on the shoulder, get it roughed in here, and maybe on these rings so that we can come back and then do the skin on the arm. And I think that'll set the tone for the rest of the model. We've got this bright line that runs kind of here, so we're going to catch it here. Notice how in the light, notice how we got that shine that goes right here? We're just going to copy that. I want to try to leave that edge around these pockets of, or paneling, right? So I'm leaving that shadow that falls in wherever I've got like an indentation or a level change.
Lazy Dargon said, remember that some Asian armor was made of folded paper, so not everything is metal.
Who cares? He's an elephant. He's not. I guess they're still Asian. Indian. Who cares? We're doing it metal. You're not the boss of me. There is like more plating that looks like I would paint it like, you know, laminated like that, like heavy laminated leather stuff on the back, these things here. So we'll get a lot of texture out of this. I do want to play a lot with metallics here though.
Hey, somebody likes us.
Electric Monk. Thanks for the sub.
Great
or the
name, what's
follow.
going on? Trying to set up where light's going to fall, so obviously we're going to have darkness again right across this mid ridge, and then that'll fade and we'll get a little bit more light right across the kind of bottom contour of the cuff here.
Grand Kendall said that tip with less light for metal works amazingly good. Too good. Damn mold lines everywhere.
What's that?
Damn mold lines everywhere.
Yep, exactly, right? Saying that whenever you're doing metal models, one of the biggest ways to find your mold lines is turn your desk lamp down. And they'll start popping out to the point where you'll turn your desk lamp back up because you get sick of fixing them.
Kamiki said the gloss on the arm looks really good from here.
Awesome. We're just roughly sketching it in right now. I just want to catch these values. I'm assuming that these are also metallic rings, question mark. We're going to play it as if these are all metallic rings. About them apples.
What would they be?
I don't know. These are shaped differently, so, you know, they could be, if they had knots, they could be heavy, you know, rope or something as well, but we're going to go with metal on all of them.
Noah is out here sawing logs.
Is she?
Oh my god.
So good.
Dragon wants to know what is your greatest miniature accomplishment. Your greatest tiny accomplishment. What's the biggest small thing you've ever done?
The biggest small thing I've ever done. I don't know the answer to that question.
Teaching me how to paint.
I feel like hanging out with my friends on the internet every day and getting Jen to paint and all that has been the ones that, you know, in the near or in the recent past that I'm enjoying the most. I think just being able to create a successful Twitch channel that allows all of us to hang out together, share our knowledge, learn new things, try new things, bust through our fear and get fearless in our painting. That's it. That would be it. I don't really, you know, my own personal things and growth in the hobby have just kind of happened over the years. I've been doing it for so long that I don't think in those terms a whole lot anymore. It's not that I don't, but the biggest fuel that I get is hanging out with you guys and hearing your feedback and watching you guys post things that you've done and seeing the progress that you're making.
Enigma has a problem with the slow fuse white paint. It has this hole at the top and the bottle keeps running out.
Because it keeps using it all. Maximum bleach level acquired, you bastard. You have a problem? Oh, yeah, exactly. Old GW models have too many gaps? You know, that's true of a lot of old sculpts when mold making wasn't as good. You got to remember the technology of actually spinning metals and you know, injection molding plastics has gotten better as the actual sculpting process has gotten better too, which is good, because if we had 3D sculpting as we do, but the mold making process hadn't gotten any better like it has, then we'd still be getting, you know, we'd have neat detailed miniatures that lost a lot of their detail in the manufacturing process. So those two kind of have to go hand in hand. All right, moving to light gray now. Couple of dings in the armor there, so I'm leaving the gaps in them.
Dragon would also like to know what is the greatest disaster moment with your miniature painting.
Disaster moment. Mm-hmm. Throwing away that Thunderhawk, does that count? That's the regrettable moment, is throwing away all the stuff I had from my tenure at GW when I moved in California. And I just threw it all in a dumpster. That would be my claim to shame, so to speak.
I hear you.
What's that? Bella?
Bella just stirred and she looked at me like,
Is that me making those noises?
just right back at it.
Remember that with metallics, right? You've got, even though I'm going to carry this dark reflection down right through the middle. Remember that even like this little button in the center here is going to have its own shine. I can't treat it as one item. Each one of these emboss areas, each one of these rivets, each one of these,
Hey, somebody
cuffs,
likes us.
all of that has to be treated as its own thing.
Christopher
Thank you so much. Welcome.
Harris said, which dumpster and where?
2009, California. Some landfill in
Hop in
California
your
has got
time
amazing
machine.
shit in it. Buried deep for the last, 10 years, 8 years now. The old first, I guess what would be called the second Ed Resin Thunderhawk. And a warlord, or not a warlord, a Warhound Titan. The old, is it RZA pattern? Warhound Titan? I don't remember which pattern it was. I think, do they sell the Mars now, which is the squarish one? It was the rounder one that I thought had the cooler armor to it. Notice how I don't paint. I paint this kind of section inside the circle with a little triangle to fill. This other section I paint kind of like a reverse comma, so to speak, because this circle is going to shade it from our light direction. So it'll be a little bit thicker darkness to the left here. Little stuff like that is, a lot of people would call it nitpicking, but, in the end of the day, it's kind of why we're doing this entire deal in blacks and grays, is just to kind of remind you, where would light and shadow fall, why. When you only have gray to work with, gray and white, black, you think a little bit heavier about all this stuff. So right, same thing there, a little bit brighter or dimmer as I go towards this cliff that the ridge of the cuff creates. The shine will narrow down as it gets towards it. Whereas over here it's not, it's fully facing our light source, so it's good. Right, so that's working out pretty good. Has anybody out there watched this damn show Dark on Netflix? That's all I can think about right now. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Called Dark. If you have not watched it, as soon as you're done watching us, go watch it.
Lazy Dargon said yes.
Have you? How do you like it?
Grego said I want to.
Oh my God. I'm going to tell you it is well worth it. You may watch it and say I'm an idiot, but I like it. If you can get by some of the loose translation and shoddy overdub, because it's a German movie. So there's a little bit of overdub problem, a little bit of shoddy translate. Not shoddy translation, just they translate it properly. The words are right, but it wouldn't be the words they'd use. You know, some German words don't have as, like they have multiple connotations for the German word, whereas in English we have like 10 different words. Does that make sense? And so they kind of choose the wrong English word. They take like the direct relation in the translation, which is not what you would use.
Wait, it's not a movie, right?
No, it's a show.
It's a series.
Yeah, it's a show.
Real Ashman said no because it looked like Stranger Things.
And it has a Stranger Things vibe, but it's not at all it's not a ripoff of Stranger Things. It has that vibe, that weird, crazy, deep, heavy, kind of dark and ominous vibe to it, but it's not. The theme is totally different, right? But it's a brilliant film. Like, the film looks good. It has a great visual. It's got great music. It has great tense sounds in it, you know? That makes it feel like it should be a horror flick, but it's not, you know? Not bright, dark. Exactly. Exactly. Can you do it subtitled, Dargan? I didn't even think about that. All right, so that's the bright gray. Let's go in with some white now. I didn't even think about doing subtitles. I have not been watching it. I've been doing other things as I've been watching it until like earlier this afternoon. I watched an episode sitting on the couch. The other times I've been watching on my computer while I was doing other things. So I couldn't do it if I had to read the subtitles. I'd be lost beyond where I am already. I'm already lost. I'm 8 episodes in or something like that and have no idea what's going on with some of the themes.
I don't know what's going on, and there's only 2 episodes left.
Well, it's a broad theme. There's a lot happening in the show, and some of it they haven't revealed anything about yet. It's just enough to know that there's some dude that plays a big part in this that we've only seen like 3 times so far. We don't even know what his deal is. So it's more thriller than actually visual horror. Oh, yeah. No, it's definitely a psychological thriller. It's not horror at all. There's some horrific, kind of theme to it in certain instances, but it's not slasher horror nonsense. As a matter of fact, I think it's got some weird kind of otherworldly, apocalyptic thing going on that I'm missing.
Lazy Dargan said they will start tying it all together in episodes 9 and 10.
Okay, good.
At the end, you'll finally be like, oh.
No, but you know what is so good about it is that the first thing I said to Jen is that every episode has such a good build-up and such a great ending. Ray Silver with the $20. Thank you, my friend. How you doing, Ray? I heard from Mrs. Ray today. I know you guys have got some doing ahead of you, but keep your chin up, brother. Pulling for you. Let's get some hearts in chat for Mr. and Mrs. Ray. I bet she hates it that I say Mrs. Ray.
He calls her Mrs. Ray when he talks about her in chat.
I think that's because we named her
Surly Ninja, he's talking about the show called Dark.
$20 donation
Look, he even
received
said
from
in the
REI
caption
Silver.
from Ray and Miss Ray.
From
Nice.
REI
Love your
and Miss
faces.
REI,
Nice.
love your
Love
faces.
your face. Angie Nash, you're trusting me. Adds to list. Add and watch the first episode and see what you think. Because to me, it's, like I said, for some people you may not be able to get over the bad dub. It's not bad. It's just they're speaking German and it's in English, and so German mouths, it looks like a bad Godzilla flick.
There's some that are bad.
And some of the voices don't sound spot on for what you think the character looks like, but, whatever. As long as you can get over that. And for anybody that's ever watched anime dubs and things like that, I feel like it's an easy one in our world to get over. The story's fantastic, I feel like. And like I said, each episode leaves me wanting more. It builds to a crescendo, and then it drops you right on your head at the end of every episode. It's not just cliffhanger. It's like, oh, really? They did that? And it's awesome. I dig it.
They just released the Electric Dream series on Amazon Prime. It's like 10 episodes of Philip K. Dick short stories turned into video.
Nice. I saw the preview talking about that, and then I had not, gone in and hunted for, like, when is that actually going to become a thing. So I'll definitely have to check that out. My buddy in Pennsylvania was his nephew, so he had some crazy letters and stuff written from Philip K. Dick. Philip K. Dick was kind of an odd bird, according to everybody that you talk to. And obviously we want to make sure that that circle has got a sheen on the dump around the bottom. Where the light's going to hit it again. Pile up a little bit of brightness in that center where it's flat on to our light source. Again, for anybody that's just joining us, we are painting this entire model in grayscale, black and white, no color at all. I may show you at the end, when we're done, depending on how it turns out, if we get, we very rarely finish an entire tutorial model here. It's not the goal. The goal is to get enough done to give everybody the kind of basics for what you need to be doing. But a model like this would also be cool to use once we get it done as a way to show you how you could lay hue over the top of what we do to get a really cool effect. Right? There's nothing that says that at the end of the day, once we do all of this value build up with blacks and grays and everything, that could be like the penultimate pre-highlight, so to speak. And you could use colored filters over the top of this to get a really, really cool looking model at the end of the day. But it adds a ton of work. So I don't know if we'll actually go that way. I think it'd be really cool to just have this thing in black and gray.
Hey, somebody likes us.
Chaplain area, what's going on? Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to come right towards the bottom of this and do a little bit of that triangle highlight just to spiff up that one area. And then same thing right here. I don't want these to be near as bright as the top, but a little bit brighter than just having the gray in there. Good.
Ray, I believe that's a no. Ray's asking, do we still use exclamation point booty to enter any drawings at the end of the show?
Not currently. I may decide to do a giveaway tonight. We did last Friday, but they will all. I'll announce them all as we start them up. Brightest section right here. So where we have these dents in the armor is going to give us multiple reflection lines just because we have those nicks and dings. So each time you've got a nick, you'll have another spot that can, because of the bend or indention, can wind up catching your light again and get very bright. Whereas the flat of the armor might only be bright in one section. We wind up having a lot of spots of sparkle, so to speak, along the edges as long as it's dinged up pretty bad.
Hey, Jack Clubs.
Wyatt, what's going on?
Well, Dragon, I know where you can get some.
Get some what's?
Dragon said, I want some bomb wicks.
Haha, we got some. These are the new ones. Potential new ones. I make no guarantees, but our plan is to release another line of sables that give you that Winsor Newton body. And that's what these are. And so far, I'm loving this brush so far. It's working like a champ tonight. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to the brush itself, but so far so good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm back to light gray right now so that I can do the chain pieces that I forgot all about while I was bringing the rest of them all up.
Alberto, I guess.
What's that?
He asked if we're a couple.
No, I mean, she usually doesn't claim me, not in public.
He's kind of embarrassing.
I like to say yes. I go every time we leave the house. I'm like, "Look at my girl!" And she runs, flees, and
Like, I don't know this man.
Scarlet Whore, thank you so much.
And then I carry this.
Is that your help sign, you
No,
bastard?
what? No? I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you showing people your help sign?
Thank you, Scarlett.
You bastard. I used to like her about 30 seconds ago. That's going away fairly quickly. I change my mind once a day. She's gotten into this habit where she comes home from work and doesn't kiss me hello.
He's usually very busy with you guys. I don't want to embarrass you in front of your friends. Jack of Clubs said, I mean, when we're in public, I tell people you're my scruffy uncle.
You did, actually. I'm all right with that. I don't know that I'd actually claim you, you know. Whatever. You bastards. You people. Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
I do paint. I painted this little cute thing on Sunday. You can't see it because this camera is not good for that, but I do paint. Not anywhere near as good as he does. I know, Angie. And then he comes out and he's all upset. He comes sulking and pouting into the room.
Here's more about being in her comfy clothes.
Comfy clothes are a priority after work. I'm sorry,
She's like,
but I'm not sorry.
I got no time for you. You do you. We'll get into my comfy clothes.
Oh, I was almost going to ask that question to Jason Dragon. What genre? What is this genre? These
Of what?
Of the minis that I paint. These cute little ones.
Chibi. They're from Super Dungeon Explorer. Little chibi
That's all I've done so
anime
far.
style, fun, cute little miniatures.
I like cute stuff.
I actually like those. I was, the only one that I've painted is the tank commander on the little chibi tank that we did.
And
But
that's
I had a lot of fun with it.
Good looking tank. I like it.
I like the fun kind of nature. It was a fun, to do it with real kind of, weathering on this crazy cartoon tank. I think it was great. I had a lot of fun doing that.
liked
So.
it. Resurrected Hobbyist said, hey, is it 5 minutes till the end of the stream? I need to know if this is the right time to post a whip to ask about. Enigma told everyone at the shop that Slowfuse is my Grease 2 dance partner. It's true.
I just want to know if anybody recognized that I didn't answer Resurrected's question.
I did. He is a high maintenance diva. Thank you, KTP, for being #Team Jen for
Hey, Jen,
10 seconds it took
Jen,
you to
would
type
you
that.
do me a favor?
No.
She's just like, no, I won't. Thanks for asking. Damn it. I was going to say, just type /unmod killing time painting in chat, please. Resurrected, what's going on, man? Set the record straight. She says she doesn't do it because she doesn't want to embarrass me. So is she right to respect your modesty, or should she come give kisses on stream? Dude, if you've been here, she walks in and I'm like, get your butt over here and give me a kiss.
He's not embarrassed by it.
Do I? Okay, I want you guys
Yeah,
to
there's
try to
not
think
much-
of, try to come up with one
What
thing
would
that you
be
think might
embarrassing?
embarrass me.
What would possibly embarrass Jason?
Number one. I don't know if you know me too well, but
Oh, another 10 seconds on #Team Jen from KTP. With the burn.
did he ban you?
No.
Oh.
He's on Team Jen right now.
Oh, whatever.
Because he said he has to have friends to be embarrassed.
Oh, what? Talking about me?
Yes.
Oh, you
So I
rat.
said he's on Team Jen for a
bastards.
minute. I expect him to switch back anytime now, but, you know.
Going in and adding in. We haven't done any
did.
black on the other options yet, or the other portions of the armor yet. I've been avoiding it, but I'm going to go back in now and start adding in all of that reflective darkness on some of these spots.
Yeah, art image that art image said you missed it last, or to Angie Nash, you missed it last week when Slowfuse came up behind Jen and hugged her for like 20 seconds. Wearing the unicorn mask, right?
Yeah.
You have the unicorn mask on? Yeah, you
Yeah, I
were
had the
poking me with
unicorn.
the unicorn horn.
And the unicorn mask on.
Hey,
What'd I do?
somebody likes us.
What'd I do? Thank you for the follow! Who dat?
Bruneier.
What is going on? Thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
About Uncle Touchy. Miss Uncle Touchy.
He doesn't miss us.
I know!
He
You
does, actually.
forgot about us.
No, he does, actually.
No, that doesn't help Resurrected. Resurrected said, if it helps any, I'm on hashtag team all my own.
No.
No. You gotta pick a side here.
No, there's not a Team U in this channel. Sorry. Not how this works, my friend. There is no Team Resurrected on this channel. That's someplace else.
Oh, there it is. I knew he'd switch back. Hashtag still team Jason.
He must need something.
Night, Angie.
Get out of here, Angie. Take it easy. Thanks for hanging.
Is it Angie or Engel? It's Angie. Okay. Like, the words run together. Enjoy your couch snuggles. Oh, it does say ouch snuggles. I assumed couch snuggles.
Ouch, Snuggles.
Yeah, I read it as couch snuggles.
I don't know what an ouch snuggle
And then
is.
Drago said couch or ouch snuggles.
That was an ouch snuggle. I feel like they're doing it wrong.
Gone but not forgotten, Uncle Touchy.
So now I'm reversing my brush stroke. Everything else was towards the bright, up to down, so to speak, top to bottom. Now we're going bottom to top to meet in the middle with our reflection.
Ray Silver said hashtag Team Thug Life and hashtag Team Silver Fox. No idea who these other people are.
Oh my god. That's it.
No, I read it as couch snuggles, even though it said ouch snuggles.
I want to try to leave myself enough between the white edge and this dark black reflection that I'm painting on here. But in some cases, I'm going to have to come back and knock it up a notch. Because it just doesn't, we didn't have enough white on the edges to really drive it home. All right, so I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to push any up here right now because that's going to be kind of brighter and the grays take care of it. It's not really the same reflective area. I really like this brush, I'm not going to lie.
Good.
I usually
It's
don't
not
like
nice to
I don't
lie.
like a deep well brush very often. I don't like a long bristled brush. I've never been a fan of them, but I'm not mad at this, so which is good. I gotta like it if I'm gonna sell it. Holding its point amazingly well. I didn't have to trim anything right off the gates with this one, so big fan of that. Click here and boost up these edges again.
Art Image wants to know if this is the new best brush in the world.
No, so you're not paying attention to the whole best brush in the world thing. The only brush that we have named the best brush in the world is, it's an honorary title, so to speak.
It's the one that looks like the Muppet
Yeah.
shrimp.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with being the best brush in the world. I think you're misunderstanding me.
Yes, we're gonna frame it and hang it up
What's that?
in a place of
The brush?
honor. Yeah.
It's gonna go on the shelf. in the front.
Have a place of honor in our home.
It has done so well for us. For being part of a
Enjoy its golden years in peace
50 brushes
without being
for
rammed into the
$1
airbrush
or
pot.
whatever the hell it was. It was probably something like that. Probably something like 50 brushes for $1 or something like that is what we were dealing with.
Batman fan said, question for the Predator. Are the weapons meant to be glued on or switchable? Because it says not to glue them, but they keep falling off.
It says don't glue. If I remember, are you talking about the side sponsons? If you're doing side sponsons, they say don't glue the sponson into the top and bottom, but you glue the whole assembly onto the side of the tank. You can leave them to be magnetized or whatever you want, though. So that's completely up to you. Right. All right, so there's some good metallic workup that we've got going on, and now what we can do is start bringing life to the skin, because I want to focus on this arm tonight, and by bringing what is some of our highest value on the model in terms of the shine on the metallic, in terms of the shine on the metallic, right, then we get a lot of the basis that drives how to get the other grays to go. Because, again, this is a real challenge. Hue, it makes you understand how much we rely on hue for the contrast on our models. And I'm trying to break you guys of that, at least mentally. It's still not a bad thing. Don't ever get me wrong. Hue and saying that, okay, I want to paint this and this on a model. I'm going to get contrast based on hue, right? My yellow is going to look like a much higher value than the blue, and I can put them right next to each other. I can go darker and lighter, and that will bring contrast onto the model. And that's fine, right? But like I said before, that's not always indicative of light and shadow, right? Just because you paint yellow up to blue doesn't mean that the blue part was supposed to be the darkest part on the model, but the eye will start to perceive it that way, and if it's not falling the way the shadows would fall, it can mess up the whole composition. So what I'm trying to say is think in terms of what we're doing here, right, with light and darkness represented without any color, and then it's easy to add your color. Because right now, if we were to just say, okay, well, everywhere where it's bright, if we were doing this in non-metallic golds, well, then everywhere that it's bright could stay in whites or ivories, and then the grays would be like, brighter yellows, and then it would fade into umbers or whatever oranges we wanted to use for our darker colors, browns, whatever we wanted to use. So it's showing us where all those colors go, based on actually, focusing on the lighting of the situation. If I can even desaturate it a little bit for you like that.
Voodoo Child said, I forgot who it was, but the other day myself and I wanted a single
Sable brush?
height sable brush. You could sell them for $9.99. You could make like 12,000 brushes with one weasel butt.
The other day someone, and I wanted a single hair sable brush.
Oh, hair. Like, hate
Gotcha.
what?
Gotcha. Well, you don't want a single hair brush, if that's what you're trying to say. A 00 is really, really small. The Winsor Newton 000s are even smaller. I think we've got in this new set of brushes, I think we've got what is equivalent to like a 000 that we would be using. Maybe. I didn't clean this. I can't guarantee, but that's pretty damn small, not gonna lie. Right?
Well,
That's, yeah. I mean, there's nothing detail-wise you're not going to be able to do with that, so. Oh, it's going to see I see what you're saying. No, that brush was bad from the get-go. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about when we say the best brush in the world, it's over here. It's still here. This is the best brush in the world. Don't get okay. I'm sorry.
Well.
I didn't give you the
now
preamble.
you're just bragging.
I didn't give you the
Just
preamble.
show it
but
off.
We're about to show off because we own the literal best brush in the world, and I don't want you people to feel bad about your own brush collections. I don't want you to run into your hobby rooms and start yelling at your brushes and asking them why they can't be like Jason's best brush, because that's only gonna sow discontent in your hobby lifestyle. So I want you to breathe and understand that it's okay to not, be at the top, right? and that, that second's not always the first loser, right? But this is the best brush in the world, and just don't be mad, right? So This is it. All right.
Not
We use
getting
Jen's
the full
brush
effect.
soap. We use Jen's brush soap on it, so
You
it's not
came
quite
back
as
for a
sad as it
minute.
used to be, but it usually lives
There
somewhere
it
like
is.
that.
There it is.
Now that when
That's
we use
the brush we know and love.
after we use the brush soap on it, it actually can kind of retain. It's not. I'm not going to say it's ever going to hold a point, right? But that's not the purpose of a good brush. The purpose of a good brush is to do its job diligently, day in and day out, without any question, right? No griping, no complaining, just performance. And this brush outperforms all other brushes in the history of brushes and the history of the world ever, and is therefore the best brush in the world. So again, I don't feel like I want to show it too long because I don't want everybody to start crying, feeling really bad. But that's it. There you go. Right? That's the best brush in the world. And we keep him. We're going to set him over here. He's very comfortable and warm. Make sure we give him a blanket. There you go.
Resurrected, we have more.
This is the second
You can get
best
more of
brush in the
that.
world that has taken the best brush in the world. It's this one is apprenticing under the best brush in the world to see if maybe one day it can raise to that level. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't
It
want to be
looks
mean to you,
almost
brush,
like
but I'm just
the
telling you, I don't know that you got it. But don't feel
best-
bad.
Best brush in the world's younger brother.
Don't feel bad, but there you go. So that's what we got going on
The
here.
one that all the teachers were like, oh,
Studio
you're
Day
related.
Fuse.
You're related to the best brush in the world, aren't you? I know about you.
Sylvia's Gaming, what's my favorite color? Dragon asked. My favorite color? Guess. Yes, somebody say it. What's my favorite color? I don't have a favorite color, actually. but
Pink.
mahogany. Pink. I did like my pink
that's
shirt that I
me.
wore at her sister's wedding, though. I wore a pink shirt. And I was not mad about it. I don't think I've ever owned a pink anything in my life to wearable.
He looks really nice.
I really like my pink shirt. I rocked my pink shirt pretty well. Not bad.
Have you guys seen that?
You're running out of Jen's goop already, Resurrected? Oh my god.
I know, I said we have more. Could fix that problem very easily.
It looks like a grass tuft. Hey, you watch that language.
Is it?
Pour one out for your homie. Pour one out on the curb for Ray's best brush. Like Trump's hair. Holy hell.
There
All
he
right,
is
let's
in
do some
his-
skin.
In his pink shirt, looking all dapper, and his vest.
I'm a sexy beast.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to start with black gray. I'm going to knock this down a little bit in color because I want the skin to be darker than the metallic, right? Now that I have the range to judge from based on what we've got mocked up here on our metallic armband and shoulder plate, I can come back in here with a little bit deeper color. Right, and I'm just going to cover up that stuff that we had with our pre-highlight, our gray and all of that.
Yes. Nope, that was definitely pink. That was not salmon.
No, it's definitely pink. Not salmon. Guy tried to pitch me on a salmon shirt. Salmon and what was my other one? Purple? Blue?
Lavender, yeah.
Lavender? Lavender. You had to say lavender.
Sorry.
Couldn't just call it purple.
Light purple.
Couldn't just call it purple, could you? Oh no.
No, really, the name of the color is definitely pink. That's what it's called. Hi. How you doing?
I love when she comes in and makes that snorting sound. She's just like, like she comes in, she goes, "You guys are still not paying attention to me. The hell is wrong with you people?" All right, again, I just want to kind of let it dip down into that original black that we had on here for our shade. I'm going to push my black gray into that a little bit further.
Oh. I just pet her and then put my hand up and all kinds of hair came with it.
Oh, yeah.
See you, KTP. Have a good weekend.
Get out of here. Have a good one, brother. Thank you so much.
painting studio smell of a rich mahogany?
Corinthian leather. What are you talking about? We don't skimp. Rich Corinthian leather.
That's from Anchorman. Many leather-bound books. My office smells of a rich mahogany. Kind of a big deal. Yeah, what is this thing with the Tide Pods? That like teenagers are eating them or something?
God.
I don't know about this.
Idiots.
What are they doing?
The world is filled with idiots.
I've not heard of this.
Idiots galore. Tide Pod Challenge. It's hopefully natural selection coming back into style,
Okay.
right? It's going to take a lot of these retards off the planet. Jeez. Not that I wish ill on anybody, but come on, people. Seriously?
What are they doing?
They bite into Tide Pods.
Uh-huh.
They do. And then the detergent goes in their mouth and they spit it out and say, ooh. And doctors are talking about how it's very easy to have an allergic reaction and get like third-degree burns on your lips and the inside of your mouth from it. And, you know, people are being stupid. I was like, the other day, I was just like, just wait for the lawsuits against Tide to start because they didn't put on the label, you know.
Well, they already had a big problem with it, and they had to change the packaging because kids, like toddlers, were getting them and eating them. And so they had to make it almost like a child-proof package.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
We're not supposed to eat those? Why can't these stupid kids take acid like we did?
There's somebody watching the stream right now going,
Don't eat your brush soap.
yeah.
Thank you!
Folks, I feel like we shouldn't have to say this. Fancy Unicorn with a
Fancy
host.
Unicorn!
What is
thank
going on,
you.
Fancy? How's Friday treating you? And welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As you can see on the title of the show today, we are painting a la 50s television show. We're only using grayscale. We are bringing everything up in brightness as if it were a black and white TV. Show everybody how to really focus on using light and shadow on your model when you don't have any color. So you can't have one. I mean, yeah, we got black and we got white, so black is obviously darker than white, but you can't rely on using that to do the job for you here. So
What? Art image. Parts of your brain's reaction to viewing a Tide Pod. Human brain. Don't eat the poison pod because it's fucking poison. Monkey brain. Eat the fruit pod. It's fruit. Lizard brain. The washing machine is vibrating. Give it the sex. Fish brain. Climb inside the washing machine. It is safe. That was so random.
I have no idea why.
The brush soap tastes like a mahogany dream made of clouds and rainbows. I don't think it could possibly taste that good.
Depends on what you smoked right before you ate
maybe.
the brush soap, I guess.
I guess it depends on how hungry you are. It's all natural ingredients, but I think that a lot of it will just make you poop more than you probably want to.
Super poops.
Yeah, right? What they really need to do is change the packaging on that floor cleaner that looks like kids' juice with all the fruit on the packaging. It's got pictures
that a
like
thing?
oranges and lemons.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's some, what is that stuff called?
Awesome.
No, I think it's like it's got like a Spanish word as the name of it. Levoso or something like
Oh, I
that.
don't know. It looks like and it's sold surprisingly in juice box sizes.
Back in the early this is Kel Harris. Back in the early 1900s, etiquette for pink clothing was to only dress baby boys in pink. The reason being that the color pink is too strong of a color for a girl's complexion. That's weird.
Ancient color theory in action. Again, we can't go too bright on the skin. We've got to find a way to find our brightness with it without pushing any higher than, say, this bright gray.
Night, Scarlett. Have a good weekend.
Take it easy, Scott. Hung out for a while. Holy
Yeah,
hell.
3 a.m. now.
Pressured. The peer pressure worked.
Enjoy your dinner, Fancy Unicorn.
Fancy, take care.
That's what I said, Fruit Pod. Fantastico. Thank you.
Is it called Fantastico?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's pretty hilarious, actually.
Oh, Fabuloso. Or Fantastico. Same thing. Yes. I knew it had an O at the end.
But here I'm picking out the texture in the sculpt as much as possible so that I'm not laying in an upsetting amount of light gray. So I'll stipple it where I can and then just kind of grab some of these irregular markings with wispy brush strokes, so to speak.
Drago, thank you. Drago just said, you're doing a black and white color on this model, but why is the rest of the stream not also black and white?
Because Jen, in all of her infinite wisdom, didn't come up with that great idea until I pressed the start button to start streaming.
And then we had this conversation about how Jen does not always know the plan for the stream. Had I known, I would have suggested it earlier.
Good help is hard to find. Moral of my life. Story of my life.
Raumar, 2 minutes delay is way too long. You need to refresh or something. Log out, log back in.
Yeah, Twitch maybe
Turn it off, turn it back on.
Barfing
Something
on
like
you.
that, because that's way too long.
generally there's about a 15-second delay from the time something's typed in chat to the time you see it. It may be longer from the time we respond to it. Not gonna lie. We try to be good, but... So that's looking pretty good. We're intruding a little bit into the metallic, and now is where I start looking at, okay, how bright can I push the metallic? Right? So we've got some decision to make before we just keep pushing paint. And that decision in this case is going to be, okay, where am I going to find brightness to counter this skin color, if I like the skin color the way it is? Or how am I going to darken the skin color, right, but maintain the texturing and stuff that I'm getting out of it? So I've got a couple of choices, and I think what we're going to do first...
Hey, wait a minute.
What's that? What?
How is this my fault?
I think it's her fault. Yep. Good. They blaming you? Yes! Hashtag awesome chat. I'm going to push the skin to white. Alright? And you guys are going to say, Fuse, your nutcase. Go ahead, say it. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care. You don't know.
That's mild compared to what I say.
He's mean and all. Jen is literally the nicest person on the face of the planet.
That's not true.
You might...
I'm very
We're
nice.
talking about the nonsensical
But I'm sure there are
ravings
people
of
nicer
a
than me.
lunatic mind.
All right, so now we're going to intrude entirely into the value of our metal. So I can show you a way to play with light, and you can use this even when you're doing in color. Everything that I'm doing here, you can use when painting with full color, but everything is done from an example of starting with, you know, the brightness, the overall value of an area versus another, so on and so forth. So right now, like I said, the quandary that we're in, right, the question that we got to raise is how to effectively make the skin look like it's got a highlight to it, but not push it as bright as the metallic so that they start looking the same. And so what I'm doing right now is pushing it exactly as bright as the metallic, so they're going to look like they're basically the same. I mean, right now, you could think, okay, well, that arm is basically made out of the same material, right? It's just wrinkly metal. So if you just paint like
aluminum
this,
foil wrapped around it.
right? What's that?
Looks like he has aluminum foil wrapped around it.
Yeah, it could be. It could be like metal foil wrapped around it, because the value, right? We already kind of set this up to where people could look at it and say, okay, yeah, that looks like kind of like, shiny metal. But now if I push the value up here, not only does it detract from the metal look that we've built up so nicely here, but it also loses touch with, okay, what exactly is going on his arm? Does he have, like Jen said, aluminum foil wrapped on it? I'm trying to drive home that fact that this is why I spend so much time telling you guys, like when you're painting Nurgle, when you're painting, last night, or on Wednesday, sorry, when we had all of our whip, I went over it quite a bit, saying, hey, make sure that you find top to bottom a way to control the variance in both texture and shading on all these different materials so that they look like different things, not only in color, right, but in value as well. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to let that dry for a second. And we're going to come back after it with some black. We're going to glaze black very, very thin over the top of that skin.
Dagoon, this is Avatar of the Elephant, right?
Yep.
From Wrath of Kings.
It's a cool mini or not game, Wrath of Kings. The faction is called Shale Han, which is just one of the 4 or 5 factions in the game. And the Celestial Host is like a sub-faction within Shale Han, and in there they have a lot of these avatars of like Asian gods. And this is the avatar of the elephant.
His head would look like Jiffy Pop if you painted it that way. That's awesome.
All right. So now I'm going to go back with a very light coat of black as a glaze.
That's what I'm going to see from now on.
Glaze that whole arm back down with black.
Hey,
That's
Max
not
Payne.
only going to change the base color, but drag all of that white down to more of a light gray as we go. It's also going to pile into our shadows and darken up our shadows if we need that. So it wasn't a problem we were having. We just want to be able to make the skin.
Hey, Zydlik.
Look not
Zydlik
quite
wants
as
to
bright.
know if you've only been using vanilla black and white for that. It's
And
looking
I
good.
did cheat and use some grays, pre-mixed grays. We've been using black gray, gray, and neutral gray, and light gray. Because I decided I didn't want to spend as much time mixing colors. But they're all neutrals. They have no hue shift to them at all. So no cheating, just saving myself a little bit of time on the stream, because I knew otherwise we'd spend all this time waiting for me to mix up the perfect gray to paint with, rather than being able to just reach over there and grab it. So. Alright, so that's one step. I've still got it. It's too bright across the top, so I'll let that glaze sink in, and then we'll hit it again.
I might have to call it a night soon.
Is it killing your back?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure.
My foot more than anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Still having a problem with your leg?
Yeah. Lumpy Rutherford. I like that name. Said, see you reinvented yourself on Twitch. Good for you and good luck. Have not watched since World of Tanks.
Lumpy, holy hell! Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, we've been doing creative for, coming up on 2 years now. Streaming creative. When it was tanks that drove me over the edge, right? We tried to play other games, and I just found myself not having near as much fun playing the other games as I did tanks, but tanks got me so ragey that I was like, I don't want to be that way. I had a couple of our viewers at the peak of our tanks streaming, message me saying, hey, I'd love to stick around, but, you're not the same person you were at the beginning. And that really hit me. I was like, wow, that really sucks. Because I changed to a totally different person being ragey on the game. So I didn't want to be that way. That's not how I am in real life, so why would I choose to do that and do something that made it? And Jen's seen it. Jen would come in and say, why do you play this game?
So angry.
And yeah, it's one thing if you're playing the game and, you're doing it behind the scenes and, the stress of it's okay. You don't go kick the dog after you play or anything like that. But when you're doing it with people, Not everybody's going to understand, that, yeah, gotcha, that's not really good. But awesome to see you, Lumpy. You were here on a New Year's, if you remember the Chinese hat I used to wear. Ragey Slow Fuse, yeah, I wish there were some videos of that still around. There aren't. I still have some YouTube videos, but they were never ragey ones. They were always just, like, good outtakes, good gameplay outtakes and stuff.
Batman fan said he can relate with Call of Duty. Loves the game but hates it at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, any PvP game, I think, is pretty much going to do that to you, right?
I mean, there were times when because I did not stream with him then, obviously, and there were times that when he'd be streaming and I'd be sitting in the living room and I would just be hearing yelling and, like, banging on the table, and yeah. That's no good.
It's not any good. Trust me.
Good for your blood pressure.
It was good, though. It's a wake-up call, right? It's like if you have I can imagine it being like if you have a girlfriend or something that leaves you and tells you exactly why, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that about myself. What a drag. And so it was good. It was good to get that eye-opener and be like, all right, cool. Imagine hard to find me ragey. Oh, I can get ragey. I can get ragey with the best of them. Trotsky, this is the avatar of the elephant from Wrath of Kings, Cool Mini or Not. It's part of the Celestial Host. We had started painting a Kung Fu Panda a while back, doing like the jade metallic, same kind of thing. We were working on this, doing the building up the metallic kind of lacquered armor in the jades, and then started working on the non-metallic golds. Didn't get very far on it, right? But same kind of thing. There's a panda, the avatar of the bear, I guess, the monkey, the snake, and the elephant are all part of that. Somewhere I've got the other ones up here, but I don't see them. It's the same game that we painted our Goritsi from, one of the other factions called the Goritsi, which are the werewolves and such. So this is the same game that you would see these guys in, right? And what we're doing here is just going through and showing how to paint in grayscale as opposed to color.
Lumpy Rutherford said, where do you buy the models to paint?
All over the place. We have a store, Sophie'sGaming.com, sells all the hobby supplies, brushes, paints, and all the stuff to do the painting. The models you can find at like Miniature Market, your local hobby store, all over the place. Games Workshop, online, depending on the game that you're looking to get. There's a bajillion out there now. Kickstarter's got 5 bajillion different things going on for miniature games. So... I got good depth on that, but now I'm a little bit dark, so I'm going to push it back up, a little bit of gray. Definitely don't stay if you're uncomfortable, babe.
Yeah, I think
I hear you switching weight in your chair, like
I can't get comfortable.
Switching cheek to cheek over there. Don't do it. Now that's starting to look like what I want. If I go a little bit lighter with the light gray, a little bit thinner, not lighter, but thinner, with the light gray to peek out some of these skin folds, that'll just about nail it.
Trotsky said, any idea why it seems mini games are blowing up nowadays? Back in the day, it was like GW and one other soon-to-die game at a time. I don't know that I have a good answer for that. I'm sure that there's as many answers as there are miniature players. Right now, board games have always been a big business, right? And board games are a neat kind of social revolution. There's a TED Talk about it
And board games are starting to use a lot more miniatures. And so that's bringing a lot of light to miniature games. There's a lot of miniature makers that are working on games that are kind of board game oriented. Even GW, releases these box sets that are built more towards, quick rule play. And then also being able to use those same miniatures for, the bigger game. So I think that is probably the largest portion of it. But I'm sure some of it is also just the appeal, the fact that a lot of the people who have been exposed to these games are now at the point where they've got money and can buy more and, have a bigger kind of weight in the market. That and, of course, Kickstarter. Kickstarter helps a ton. There's been a ton of companies that have decided to go with Kickstarters for their launch. And there's a whole social mentality movement with Kickstarter. Yeah, I want to do it even though people get screwed 9 times out of 10. So I don't know how long that part will be there. I'm hoping that it will survive the my opinion, imminent downfall of Kickstarter. But, we'll see. Elric, what is going on? Controllers are $60 and it's very bad to throw them. I broke one controller and it was Dark Souls. Right? Actually, I think it was Demon Souls, the first one. And I learned from that not to break my controllers anymore. And I was not streaming when that happened. I was traveling the country at that point, and I was in my motorhome playing Demon Souls at a campground one night, and literally threw and broke the controller against the windshield of my motorhome. So it could have been really bad if I'd have broken the windshield.
Voodoo Child just said, I hate Call of Duty. 12-year-olds killing me, then telling me to have relations with my mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the way you said that.
It's awesome. Their balls drop, they pick up a controller, and all of a sudden they know what to tell you how to live your life. Yeah, PvP games are tough, but that's kind of my wheelhouse. That's where I really like to play, and so it's a real drag sometimes when you gotta, you're in a game and it doesn't feel like anybody's taking it seriously. And I'm like, I only have a few hours to play, and I really want to get in here and win, and these guys are joking and screwing around, and they don't care, and, you don't have a group of people you play directly with. Video games are rough.
So it's not Rush, it's a combination of Greece and Greece 2. Because in Greece, they were car gangs against each other, and in Greece 2, they were biker gangs against each other.
Oh
so there's a new game coming out. It's a skirmish game of car and biker gangs versus each other. Greece, the battle for Rydell High. I like it. I'd play.
Really?
Of course.
Really? You'd play that?
Yep.
All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. We've managed to tone it down with the black, angle it back up, and now the metal still looks like a completely different material than the skin. But again, only blacks, only grays, and no white on the skin. We just went to light gray on the skin, but we get to carry on our shine line, right? Because we know we've got our light coming kind of right down the middle of the arm. And so the elephant skin, we could play it super dull. We don't want a really bright sheen down the middle, but we do want a little bit of highlight. And so the struggle that we're having, or that you will have as you do this, how bright do you push it so that you can get highlight on the arm, still fall to shadow, because if you just do it black and then light gray, well then 90% of the arm is black, and so where do the shadows really pick up? You've still got to be able to have the gray go from a highlight around to a dark in order to maintain the volume of the cylinder of the arm. Right? So that's a pretty good start there. I feel like if we keep all of the skin along this line, that we ought to also be able to drag out a texture for leather, and that's a whole nother story, so we can kind of work on that strap. What time is it? 8:23. What do we got? 40 minutes? 40-ish?
Grant Kendall said play competitive Counter-Strike and suddenly you know how to rage in Russian, and that just reminded me that today we have a teacher who's Russian, and she's out. She hurt herself, and so she's out. So there's a sub in there, and I was in helping the sub with something, and I saw something that I had never noticed in the classroom before, and that was that on her file cabinet she had like a framed picture of her daughter and one of her and her husband, and a framed picture of shirtless Putin riding a horse.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
It was so good. Or was riding a bear. He was riding a horse.
There's a meme of him like on a bear too.
I think he was riding a bear. It was so good.
But he's like shirtless. Initially he was on a horse, I think.
All right, I think I gotta go.
All right, babe.
I'm
Feel better.
sorry. I gotta go put my feet up.
Feel better. So again, I'm going to start in with the dark black gray on there so that I can pick out that strap, right, and darken it up. I'm going to add a little bit of black to that so I can get it a little bit darker than it is.
To whip.
Uh-huh.
Up there is a base that's blue.
Okay.
Okay.
That's where it stopped.
That's the, like, when we started the stream,
Uh-huh.
that was the very first picture.
Okay, gotcha.
So I assume that they went over all this.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, baby. There's some on the front too. Oh, yeah. Again, now where I've got the metallic that is going to hit the skin and then back to metallic, but I've also got this leather in here. I'm going to have more metallic and all this lacquered stuff. So I've got all these places coming together that I've got to keep transitions going. Build up some contrast here. So I'm going to go back to my black. Build up a little bit of shadow that comes out of the bottom of that metallic there. Then I'm going to need, we'll go with the standard gray again. That might be a little bright. I might need to mix it with the black gray, but let's do this first. This I got to be careful because again, if we get to the same value as the skin, it doesn't look like it stands apart. So I can use a couple of tricks here. One of which would be to highlight the edge of the leather, which is what we're going to wind up doing here. Come in with a light gray. Offset the color around it with a little bit of separation, but I need to get texture on there too. Just a little bit of irregular pattern on here, just poking the brush at it. Break up that edge highlight. I don't want the edge highlight to look like just a line, so if I stipple right across the edge of it, it breaks it up a little bit. pretty good. It's pushing close to the value of the metal here, so I may want to tone that down just a little bit. Back to the gray. So far, just black, gray, gray, and light gray on this. Like gray, gray, and gray. But up here, I'm going to stipple in where it kind of meets up with the metal. A little more of that medium gray. Start building up a texture to it that's different than the skin. It's got more of a speckledy, beat up kind of look to it, right? So that the skin's got its texture, the metal's got its texture, and now the leather can have a different look. And the only thing we got to worry about is that, and here, the solution, I think, is to build up more brightness on these metal plates, because as we look at them here, these don't look metallic until we turn it like this. So we probably build up a little bit more brightness in here on the plates and draw them away from the strap rather than playing with the strap and saying, well, how do we dull it back down like we did with the skin? Put on a little bit of white. Again, it's finding that balance and never being afraid to change what you might have already done, even though you find a part of your model that you really, really like. Right? Maybe you've done, you know, a non-metallic gold, and then you paint skin up next to it, and the skin winds up brighter, you know, than you had intended, and it makes the gold either look dull or lose its metallic shine altogether, and you lose the effect, and so you have to go back over it and brighten up the metallic or darken up the skin. But always have it be a choice, and make that choice, you know, matter enough that you're never afraid to go back and do what we're doing now. Change the metallic if we have to. Brighten it up here. You know, we said initially we don't want this to be as bright as the shine on the lower part, but it may have to be in order to sell all of the various other materials that we're trying to put on here. Again, since we've hamstrung ourselves with this deal that we're doing and don't have any color to play with. And if we look back over here, we divide that leather strap from the rest of the arm plate. This bright white shine. Mucho better. Come in here and amp up the scratches from edge of the leather a little bit with a brighter gray. I've punched up that metallic enough to where now these don't look like the same thing. Right. Why do I think Kickstarter is likely to fail? Because there are multiple countries, and including the United States right now, where lawmakers are looking at the concept of investor-backed properties that are not managed by the FTC in the U.S., right? The Federal Trade Commission, right? And the stock exchange is built around protecting both sides of the equation when there's investor relations involved. Kickstarter stands outside of that, but is now approaching projects like Star Citizen that have hundreds of millions of dollars of investor money being given to people that are profiting and buying big houses and living valuable lives and being successful off of the hard work of us, paying them for nothing other than what a consumer would buy when the product is completed anyway. And there's a big conundrum out there in the legal world as to how that makes sense when they fail, because there's no protections for the investor, because technically they're not called investors. Now there's a counter to Kickstarter, and forgive me, I don't remember the name, where basically as you invest in the Kickstarter, you are offered shares in the company, and you have to invest a certain amount to get a share. So maybe it's per $100 of Kickstarter money or crowdfunding you give, you get a share back, and so on and so forth. And then part of the profit of the Kickstarter has to pay dividends back scaled over X amount of time. I would assume everyone's different, right? But like if right now you came to me and said, hey, Slow Fuse, I love your idea of what you're doing with your store or whatever, I want to invest, we would have to work out a deal that said, okay, I'll pay you back whatever money you give to be in, because I'm not looking for a long-time partner, I'm just looking for an investor, and you'll invest, and if all I do is give you paint and brushes, right, then if my store fails before I've given you enough paint and brushes to pay back the investment you made, you have no recourse, right? So you sign a contract and you say, yes, I'll pay you over the course of X amount of years, scaled, percentage of profit, so on and so forth. And there's still some risk if you go out of business, but you can then always come back with legal action to get your money from the assets of the company, which you can't do right now through Kickstarter when they screw you and go away, like so many of them do. And it's only being that way because people only put in $30. And so at the end of the day, it's like, man, it was only $30, man. It was a night out at dinner and a movie, so what am I going to do? And that's the wrong mentality to have, because then it becomes something where Star Citizen, you got people with tens of thousands of dollars that they've done, and it could quite possibly still fail. It's being sued right now. So there's no telling it. It may not make it to market. And then there's hundreds of millions of investor dollars put in, more so than some startups on the stock exchange that they've gotten. And so it's being looked at. And there's a lot of countries right now that are trying to make sure that they regulate it. And if they regulate it, then it will change the face of Kickstarter. Companies will have to start offering profit sharing on the product once they release it, and so on and so forth, which I agree with. I don't feel like it's right to say, hey, give me money so that I can live my dream, and when I make the profit, I keep it all myself. You don't get to benefit other than having the product I was going to try to sell you anyway. But my mind's wrapped around an older world of doing business. I don't think that's a good way to do business because I don't think it's repeatable long term, right? I feel like you get better repeatable business if you offer people, they're more willing to invest in you if they then receive something in return, not just the emotion of the game or whatever it is you're offering, but also at the end of the year they get a $100 check because the profits on your company were so great for this product you helped launch. It may not be a lot, but it's $50, $100 that you weren't expecting. And eventually, if it goes well, it paid you back. And for free, now you got the game and you helped back this company and yada, yada, yada. See where I'm coming from? And there's a lot of not only legal entities, but governmental entities that think the way that I do, right? Because you need to be able to protect the investor. And the only reason it's not right now, like I said, is because people are only investing small dollars, $100, whatever. Too many business efforts are geared for short-term gains over long-term sustainability. Yeah, definitely a problem. Right? Big, but just for video games as of today? It might be. Cheesy Poofs, might be. Yeah, we got to load whip picks now. We're going to go over and take a look at whip here as soon as I'm done reading these messages. Resurrected. On top of it. Wait, it's the last 5 minutes? Darkness, we will still do giveaways. We just don't trigger them like based on a certain monetary value. I just determine like every now and then I'll do a giveaway. And everybody gets to enter. Indiegogo, I don't remember. Desart, maybe. I felt like Indiegogo was more like Kickstarter. I don't think it... I mean, I think you can offer... investor relations on Indiegogo, can't you? Just like some of the movie greenlight ones will offer you investor relations at certain price points. You have to give a lot to it to get money back, which I think is fair too. Because you can't give a dividend to everybody that gave you $10. Because if you're highly successful, the management of that would be shitty anyway. So, you'd only offer buy-ins at like $1,000 and up. But I think that more people might be willing to kickstart projects at higher levels of dollars, which would make them give them the potential of better success if they had fewer investors with more dollars from those investors, guaranteed payment, or at least promise, the notion of payment, and the business person being held to it. Because the side I'm not talking about is that if I go to a Kickstarter, you guys, I go, hey, I'm looking for $50,000 to do this cool thing, and you guys throw $500,000 at me, and then I am a shitty person, and I say, well, screw it, the thing's not the thing, I have $500,000. I don't have to do anything. I'm just gonna take my $500,000 and go be rich. Not that that's rich, but some people think that way. There's been a lot of Kickstarters exposed that was what they did. They didn't ever have a plan to release the product. And that's fraud. And there's some cases in court if they haven't already completed. And I know one of them settled out of court and and was sealed, but another one was in process where it was fraud. They proved that the person that did the Kickstarter and made hundreds of thousands of dollars never had any intention of releasing a product. Had never done any of the legwork to even find out what it cost to manufacture it. Just wrote a bunch of shit that was lies, got a bunch of money, and disappeared. And so those people are now suing because it's fraud. So when you can say that it's fraud, then there's legal recourse. But if it's something that I still try my hardest to do the product and it just fails, right? Then you don't have any legal recourse, but I still got all your money. So I think it's better on both sides of the equation. Hold the business starting people, the entrepreneur, to a level of accountability that makes them want to constantly put out the product. Because there's a lot of people doing Kickstarters that aren't business people. And there's a problem there, because they might fail or they might succeed with the Kickstarter and get funded and then not know how to run the business part of it and fail miserably on the backside. And yet you're like, well, wait, they got like $1 million. How come that product isn't awesome? And it wasn't for their lack of trying. It's just because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Excuse my French. So lack of legal protections and statutes is the Achilles heel of the system, a bit like Uber and Airbnb. Well, Uber has a big problem, right? They just got, like in England, they just got called a taxi service. They're trying to cut the middleman out, right? They look at it and they say, hey, we can offer the same thing, but we can cut these loopholes in. And I don't know if Uber's been hit by taxi people, kind of calling them out and lobbying. I don't know the story behind that and why they've been called out the way that they are. But yeah, Uber will probably take a dump the same reason, because they try to skirt the legal ramifications of running a transport agency, right? And now they're getting caught in the heels, and they're going to lose all their profit that they made over the last X amount of years when that happens. And a lot of people lose their jobs and all that stuff because they can't become a cab company as easily as they could just do Uber, I don't think. So yeah, maybe. I'm not a fan of government statutes. I'm a fan of less government, first off. But in cases where you're going to invest, right, I think it's, I don't know that we need laws. There's already laws is the problem, and so Kickstarter works outside the laws, and they're going to enlarge the laws to include Kickstarter is my fear. You like that model better, to be honest? It makes sense, and you'd feel better investing on Kickstarter that way, Desard? Yeah, as soon as you saw some successes, you would. But it also holds... See, Kickstarter can't do it because Kickstarter becomes liable as soon as they offer something that's a transaction, because then you become a broker of all of that business that's federal trade regulated. So Kickstarter wouldn't be able to do it under their current deal. They'd have to get licensed by the FTC, and they'd have to actually then be able to issue those stocks and monitor that stuff, and I don't think they'd be able to do that. Somebody could prove me wrong and say that there was a way that they could do it, but I don't think they can. Right? It would have to be like Kickstarter would have to become its own kind of like miniature stock exchange, commodities exchange kind of thing. I don't know. It's a big conversation, I love that Kickstarter helps great ideas get into production. I love that part of it. It's just that as a creator, I want to be on the line and held responsible for the products I make so that everybody else is too, because that's the way better products get made. Good products don't get made in a vacuum when people aren't held responsible. More times than not, people that aren't held responsible make shitty products or take advantage of their consumer. And that's where the problem is held up. And the consumer should hold them responsible, but sometimes laws prevent that from happening. More of me swearing. I don't swear too much, man. You say Uber is actually pretty nice. I was talking with a buddy who's a lawyer, said his firm's been hit hard since Uber got big, lost about 30% of client average due to loss of DUI cases. Well, I'm a fan of that. I'm never going to cry because attorneys are losing criminal defense money. Never. I think Uber's a great idea. I just think, unfortunately, they probably didn't handle it the right way. They probably thought, hey, there's a loophole where if we don't actually have employees and we don't actually go for DOT recognition and we're not actually a taxi service, we're not livery required, that we can skirt the law. And I think they're finding that their governments are going to say no. Well, England already did, right? The UK already said, no, you're going to be called a livery service, a taxi service. So now they're screwed. They can't even operate, I don't think. Do not answer to the legal standards of established industries, so stuff like housing standards, cleaning standards, and such for Airbnb. Well, and with Airbnb, what happened around Gen Con when everybody was going to the gaming convention, Airbnb found out about the convention, and a bunch of them got together and booted all of their registrations for that time when people had already registered for Airbnb at its regular price, like $45, $50 a night. They found out there was a big convention, canceled all of those because there's no regulations preventing them from doing so because they're not hotels. And they don't have to have bylaws. They just, they can write their rules as they want, and they just cancel all those things and up their price by 3 times, And so a lot of people were left without places to stay and had to get hotels at double the money and stuff. So yeah, that's not consumer protection. Again, it's a funny line to tread. I don't want the government to tell me what I can and can't do 100% of the time, but there needs to be some sort of consumer protections because it's a contract. When I tell you I'm going to come rent your apartment for $50 a night for 4 nights for a convention, I shouldn't have to worry about you changing your mind and renting it and saying, no, now I need $100 a night, even though I've already made all my plans. That's not the way contracts work. And so, Yeah, exactly, Batman. Because a lot of people don't understand manufacturing, so they are just looking at what it costs to make it, and they get a product made and it sucks. Uber and such don't actually work to maintain their drivers or vehicles. Yeah, exactly. End up continually going to Kickstarter for expansions for the same project. Not a fan of when that happens, Dizzard. And see, I would say, Dizzard, that the best way that Kickstarter can be used is when it's being used as a pre-sale device. So I want to make this thing, right? I make this miniature widget and I want to sell it to you, and I've already got it designed. I've already got prototypes made. I've already got the manufacturer. I've already got the tooling done so that all the molds are ready to go. I've spent all that money up front, my own pocket or my investors' profit or my investors' money put into the game, and we're ready to go. Now what we don't know is how many people want to buy it. Is it worth doing the next step, which is paying the big money on raw materials and start the manufacturing going? Because to date, I've probably spent a few $1,000s on the molds. I might have had to have hired artists to do the art and all that. So I've got maybe, let's say, $10,000 to $20,000 in it. So for a company that's existing, that's not a huge outlay to try something. It's still big money. For an individual, it's hard. For like me, I couldn't just go put $20,000 into something and say, hey, do you guys like this and want to buy it? And you guys say no. And I'm like, well, that's okay. I just burned $20,000. No biggie. But for a company to invest on new product, they generally know it's going to succeed already before they put that money into it. They just don't know how much success they're going to see. And so they don't want to print 200,000 box sets of this thing only to sell 50,000. So you take it to Kickstarter and you sell everybody on it in that cool thing with a video and a play test and buy-ins and bonuses and all the cool stuff Kickstarter does. And then you sell enough to make the 100,000 box sets. And so then you go to manufacturing, and like Cool Mini or Not does it, and then within 6 months you've got your stuff in your hand most of the time. Sometimes it's longer because of problems. But if they're ready to do that, then it doesn't take as long to get to market. And so people aren't waiting like, Kingdom or Death, where you're 5 years down the road before you get your product. And, they get their product eventually, and it's awesome product, but it creates a bad business process, right? Because it allows people to get lots of money and live lifestyles of successful businessmen when they haven't been successful yet. And I hate that. I'm just not built out of that. I want to be able to prove to you guys up front what it is that I got, put it in your hands, get a little money from you. You guys then like it and go tell your friends, and you build a business that way, because then it's sustainable, because now people come and buy from you because they know your quality is good. And so you know that because that's how you got to the point that you are. And so you got to keep your quality up in order to maintain that sustainability. And it's symbiotic. It's that cycle of life kind of thing for a business. You know that if you cut the quality, the people stop buying, that hurts your business, you go out of business, so you got to keep the quality up. Whereas that's not true with Kickstarter right now. They don't even know what the quality is, and they've already bought the product. You've just told them what your hope is, and they've bought hope. And they get delivered a bag of rocks, and they go out to the next Kickstarter, but you still got all your money, whatever you factored in, hopefully, The part people seem to forget is that laws come into existence because they were intended to address and solve a problem. Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes those aren't really problems, though, Resurrected. Sometimes lobbyists create problems so that they can get laws passed that make money. That's the bulk of lawmaking, at least in the Western world right now, is not to solve problems. Right? If they actually did laws that solved the problems, then they wouldn't make the money, and they wouldn't need, get my drift? We don't need to get into that, but that's the truth of law right there. A lot of companies like Cool Mini or Not is using Kickstarter to test the water and idea of a product. Yeah, Pharaoh Roach. Yeah, exactly. Display prototypes in your ideas, get the funding to get your feedback following the manufacturer, how Steamforge did Guild Ball. Yeah, exactly. They put enough of their own money up front to test it, to make sure it was solid, and then go. And a lot of people are using it that way, and I like that. You know, there's still people going out there on a dream and offering you fancy pictures and 3D models on a dream and never making it. And that's the bad side. Is the brush a go? You really would like to see me do this brush? Azrael, this brush that I've been using tonight is a go. I'm a fan. It needs a longer handle. It's got a very short handle to it. So it needs a longer handle to match the kind of stuff that we're already doing. But yeah, I'm a fan of it so far. I've really enjoyed it. It's got a good flex to it. I haven't found, you know, I was painting with the tip the entire night, if you noticed, if you've been watching me. So I've been using this really, you know, fine tip. And other than the fact that it redresses my need to, you know, beware of texturing that I put on the model, because each stroke now has a really, really fine, you know, ending and beginning. You know, so you have to kind of redress your brush pressure and handling as you paint with it. But yeah, I'm a fan so far. I really like it. It's played really well tonight. I'm not usually a big fan of barrel brushes because I can't use the entire length of the barrel to edge with. If I'm going to edge this axe, I can only really use the front half of the brush, which isn't bad because the bristles are so long. But I'm used to being able to use like the entire length of the brush and kind of drag, you know, like this and do it. But with a barrel brush like this, you'll get different paint offloading during the course of your pull, because through the middle of the brush, it builds up a lot more paint. Well, so as you apply pressure at the ferrule, you get less paint, more paint right here in the middle, and less paint at the tip again. And so it does an inconsistent straight line sometimes. But if you just use the front half of the brush, you know, then it's fine. You know, very usable. I mean, hell, I'm in the minority of people that like short bristled brushes. I've always been honest about that. And that's why with our other brushes, with the bomb wicks that are currently available, you know, we tried to split the difference. This is a 0. So do I have a 0 in the new brush up here? I think I brought a 0. I remember now. I think this is a 0. Yeah. So you'll see that as we get smaller, the difference is less relatable. Like, you can't tell. As a matter of fact, my 0 has a little bit more breadth at the ferrule because of the tapered angle, whereas the length of the bristles here causes it to be a little bit narrower at the ferrule on the new 0. So it's a little bit longer, a little bit more of a true detail brush versus, you know, the current bomb wick is a little thicker but shorter, right? So it has more springiness because the lever is shorter, so it's going to push back a lot more. And I like that. I like that kind of response on my brush. But a lot of people like the flexibility of a long brush. And so we've taken the feedback to heart, and I don't mind adding to the line or eventually phasing out the old ones. If these sell better, we'll test it. We'll bring them in. But yeah, I'm going to do them. I'm committed to doing them. So I'm gonna bring this set in. It's I don't know yet what I'll run with as far as sizing. That's a 3, I think. No, that's a 2 that I've been painting. I don't remember. They came labeled with stickers, so I'll set them here and show you. Yeah, I think it's a 3, 2, 1, 0 is what I got. And I got 2 other sizes here that are smaller. Right, so this is the set. And again, all Kolinsky sable. These are all pure sables here. Right? But that's the 3210 right there on the new style brush. So we, you know, bomb wick V2s or something like that. I don't know what we call these, but you know, this is it. I really, really like the ferrule. Good ferrule. It's still chrome over brass, so it's not, you know, it's nothing super fancy, but it's nice. It's very tight on the brush, right? Glued and crimped, really nice. The handles are pretty nice. I like the thickness. They just need to be longer. One of the things that we got back from everybody is they really liked when we moved to longer handles. Right, but overall, I think that the quality of these is really, really nice. So I dig them. We'll see. I'll keep putting them through their paces. I'm going to have them send me more just so I can verify that the quality remains the same through batches. So, but I think we're going to go ahead and commit to them in the coming weeks. You know, when I get back from the SoCal Open, I'll probably go ahead and commit to building these once they confirm that they can do the handle length different. Right now, this particular manufacturer is used to the smaller the brush tip is, the shorter the handle gets. You've seen those paintbrushes where the 00 is like short and then the 3 is super long, and we want consistent handle length regardless. So they do that for whatever reason. I don't know. It's just something built into art brush manufacturers. And so, you know, as soon as they can verify to me that all the handles can be the same length, that the overall brush size will be the same, you know, because right now you can see they're kind of all sporadic. That's with them based across the bottom the same. So we'll see. But I'm committed to doing them. I really like them. I'll keep painting with the other sizes too. Let's look at some whip. Whip time. Cover your ears, because I think somebody said that this stuff was pretty loud last time. So, you know. Is that super loud? I feel like that was really, really loud. I feel like that was really, really loud. I turned it down and it went back up. So I apologize if it just blew everybody's eardrums out. Kappa. All right, let me refresh this. Jen told me where to start. Sorry, yeah, sorry. Sorry, I don't know what OBS is doing. For some reason, that one video, it's just killing the volume on. I've got it turned down to half volume. I pushed it down even further. I apologize. All right, so Jen said this was the last one to look at. Oh, no, I think this is somebody had mentioned that they had found a solution, right? Crackle with and without PVA. Yeah, Captain Flashheart had said that with the PVA. So this is without the PVA base, and this is with the PVA base. So that's nice. PVA being white glue. So put down a thin layer of white glue, let that set up, and then paint the Crackle paint over it. And it looks like it gives it more of a shrink with it as opposed to on here. Now, of course, this is still on a non-prime surface, so I need to test it on the prime. But I like this. That's a good way to look at it. And I did find somebody on YouTube or in a blog, I think it was on a blog, not with a video, that was showing the actual AK. What we're talking about is the AK interactive stuff that we carry on the store and the new dry earth crackle effect stuff. Hang on a second. Let me get this pulled up like so. Close this. The dark and dry crackle effects that we used, and we weren't seeing a lot of cracking out of it, and it wasn't consistent when we did see it, as we just did it on a plain base. So a couple of viewers went out and tried it over the PVA glue that we had talked about, and I think that worked great. I mean, we're seeing it. It worked great. Very nice. What do we got here? Captain Flashheart as well. Mythic Battles. Calling these two done. I dig it. Medusa. Or a Gorgon of some sort. I would assume Mythic Battles Pantheon, it would be Medusa. These look good. Like Achilles, I think. This is the Achilles model, right? I like these a lot. I like them a lot. Very good job on the scale work here with the small scales, whether that's wash or dry brush or whatever you did to just pull that very small scale texture out. Is really nice. Very good. I like the glowy eyes, too. Grant Kittrell, that metal pieces are a pain in the ass to clean to mold lines. Instead, you drilled and filed out the space between that two because it was bothering you. Drilled and filed space between the two. Oh, like right here. I see what you're saying. This probably had like flash in here, right? Yeah. Cleaning that out is just a thing that bugger. Because when you paint it, you got that big flat piece of metal. A lot of times this will have flash in between it, and cleaning it out is the best way to go. Otherwise, it just drive you nuts. Flash art, that stuff looked good. Yeah. Achilles and Medusa. Perfect. Voodoo Child, one big thing that always happens is Kickstarters are late when that happens all the time. It's like, oh, well, oops. Yeah, there's no pressure to make them complete on time, you know. Whereas, you know, if you had rules set up that you have to complete your Kickstarter on time, what I hope that it would do, it would make people give you a realistic buffer. Now, the reality, though, is that any business, like I, don't go to Kickstarter when we start our new products, but we still see delays. That's why you'll always ask me, hey, when are the bags coming? Well, they'll be here when they'll be here, you know, because I've been doing this a long time. And I know that when somebody at manufacturing, whether it's in Europe or Asia or here in the U.S., and makes something for me and says, yeah, we'll have that done in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, you know, come on, man. So I'm always like, yeah, they're coming. And as soon as I get word, I'll let you guys know. And I know that's disheartening sometimes. People want dates. I want to give you money. I want to buy your stuff. That's awesome. And I love that. I love the support. I love that you guys want to help us out. But I'm never going to try to tell you, yep, they'll be here next week. We'll have them up on the store on Monday. Until I have it in my hands and I verify the quality of it, I never try to guarantee that it'll be up on the store and ready to go. And that means it looks like delays sometimes. But it's better to do it that way than to have the product wrong or to lie. You know, I mean, not that you lie on purpose, but Kickstarter, you got to tell them a date from day one, and you haven't even gone through the process of talking to the manufacturer sometimes. And, you know, then your Kickstarter takes a long time to get funded. You go back to the manufacturer, and what they told you 30 days ago doesn't exist anymore because they put another client in front of you, so they pushed you back because you weren't ready to go. Because you didn't tell them, you know, that you were kickstarting and needed 45 to 60 days to make your decision to tell them whether or not you're really making it. So they're not going to wait on you. They're building other shit, and you're just out of luck. So now you're like, oh, but we told everybody they'd have it by May. And you're like, no, we won't even start making it until May. And you go, oh. I mean, I feel bad for Kickstarter people who haven't ever done this business before, or who even have done this business and just aren't smart about it, you know? On Kickstarter, I would never be afraid if I did a Kickstarter to tell you that, hey, our targets are this, and they do at Kickstarter give you that long list of here's the things that could go wrong, but nobody cares. Nobody cares to read that and understand how it'll affect them. You know, you should put it up there in the front line. Our target is to have this deliverable by fourth quarter of 2018, but, you know, we will update that as soon as the Kickstarter closes, right? And the manufacturer confirms all of our dates again, you know, because until we're funded, we don't know. And just be honest and tell people. I feel like people are smart enough to get it. Some people may not give you money because they think you're wishy-washy. That's fine. I mean, I say that's fine. Maybe that doesn't make your Kickstarter work, but I don't know. I'd rather have people not give me money based on the truth than give me money based on a lie that I can't live up to. That's just me. But I feel like I would like to apply that to everyone if I could. Resurrected, though, you're just talking semantics. You were saying like there's a problem that needs to be solved, but I'm saying that, yeah, but the problem sometimes is that somebody's not making enough money, which is I was viewing as two different things. I get where you're coming from, for sure. Right? But if it's a problem, if it's a created problem, right, because lobbyists want to make it seem like there's a problem so that their companies that they're lobbying for can continue to get laws passed that favor their income potential, that's not laws that are needed, is what I was trying to say. Most board gaming Kickstarters that are successful use that model. Yeah, well, the successful ones I think all do, yeah. What if you prefer the current Bombwicks, Ray? Yeah, we still have them. We still have them. I'm not planning on quitting the current ones, I don't think. We have some issues in manufacturing with them that I've been trying to deal with, but that's just anything. So I don't think we're gonna have a problem with that. My goal would be to offer, kind of like Winsor Newton does, with their miniature line and their artist line, and we'll probably just have 2 sets. The 20-0 is too small. Yeah, exactly. Spotters and rounds. Will they be available February 1st? I don't think I'll have them February 1st, Praying Mantis. That's too soon. It'll be at least 60 days, 30 to 60 days from the time we pull the trigger, because we're making changes. I don't ever just buy off the shelf generic stuff. The ideas that we've got to change them will cause me to have to pay for tooling on the brushes, handle length, art, paint, another round of samples to verify, all that kind of good stuff. So no, they won't be done by February. I can guarantee that. Post how little mold lines that Infinity models have. You feel like you got a bad one there? Some Infinity models are horrible. A lot of them are really good. The older sculpts have got mold slippage on them, like all metal molds will over time and usage. But Corvus Belli does a good job of, I think, keeping up with that. But you can still get some that are horrible. Yeah, I've had some really bad ones. But if you contact them, they will send you out new good ones. Most of the time. Of course, that comes from Spain, so don't hold your breath. China shuts down for 2 weeks. Not 2 months, but 2 weeks. Yeah, they do Omega Sun in February. Into January, February, correct? For Chinese New Year. 2 weeks. But yeah, you're basically the week ahead and the week behind, so a month, you lose business with China. Like, they just don't do anything. Exactly, Drac. Exactly. Salesman are the best, worst thing ever made. You just kickstarted the one hair sable brush. That could have been me. Never. Never. How long is it going to take to shave all the sables to get the hair for the new brushes? Yeah, right? I gotta go catch these weasels? What the hell? What the hell? You guys push too hard. ATC Romans, awesome. Thanks for the advice on skin tone. Anything you see that you can improve? I think this is awesome for Caucasian skin tone. You could even go lighter, since you mentioned you wanted pale on Wednesday. You could even take it a little bit lighter than this and still be fine. You know? I love it. The pinkish on the lips is perfect. The shadow under the cheeks is good. I like everything that I'm seeing here, right? Maybe a little bit of darkening around. If you watched on Wednesday at the end when we did the eye thing, you could probably stand to darken the lids around the eye. Not so much that it looks like mascara, but just enough to make depth happen. Because right now, as you go with that light color across the flesh of the top of the cheek, it brings the eyeball out to the same level as the front of your cheek, which is not. It sits in, right? Like I showed on Wednesday. You look at me, even with this light. This is my bounce light here that's lighting up the green screen. See how bright my hand is? This light is literally right here, right? Look at this big ass light that I've got here. It's like a I don't know, it's like a 35 watt, huge ass fluorescent light. And it's shining right on that side of my face, but look at the shadow I still get from the depth of my eye from my brow ridge. And I'm not like a Neanderthal, but you get it. I still have a shadow there. So if you can find a way to bring that shadow a little bit darker in towards the bridge of the nose inset here, and then along the eye, not to make it look like you have bags under your eyes, unless that's what you're going for, but just enough to give it some depth again. That's the only thing I see here that I would really change. I love it though. Great job. Zeb, next steps. Finish that shit. Zeb has been painting lizards for as long as I can remember. You know the next steps. You've been doing this, man. Why are you asking me? You got this nailed. Your skin's looking good. I think I think you now you go to all your scales, right? On lizard dudes. Scales and then bits and pieces. Monitor deep. Yep, I'm no Neanderthal, but I'm close. I just stopped dragging my knuckles like last year. Anyone dealing with Chinese manufacturing should sure 100% know about Chinese New Year. Yeah, exactly. You're just brand new if you don't. Yeah, exactly, Tao. Exactly, Tao. You just haven't done that manufacturing before. And it's a problem with a lot of people. Or they've done manufacturing, but they were never linked into the supply chain part of it. They were just in the design side, and games then they designed, and games just happened. There's a lot of people out there that are doing that, and then they take the step off to build their own first thing from ground zero, and they run into all those supply chain issues, right? Even if you don't deal with Chinese New Year, your first time getting an importer will sink you if you're not careful. Like if the first time you have to call an expediter and say, hey, I need a freight forwarding from China to the U.S., and it's less than container load. I'm bringing 1,000 boxes, but it's still only half a container, and it has to go by boat. And oh Jesus, remember last year or the year before, the way the boat got stuck off the coast of Africa or whatever it was, because the company went bankrupt, and it had a bunch of miniature shit on it, right? And so Cool Mini or Not got caught in that. All their shit was sitting out in the ocean on a boat that nobody would claim and couldn't go to port because it owed too much money to too many people to be able to dock and port, and the company went bankrupt while it was on the water. So that took a lot of time for the legalities of it to get sorted so that all that product could make it to port. There's a whole bunch of crap that can go wrong, man. And it's hard to make games. Like, this is discounting the fact that this makes it seem like it's even easy to make a game. It's not even easy to make a game. And so you've done all that work, and you feel like, oh, this labor of love is finally coming true, and then you get a phone call, and the phone call says, hey, your stuff's in customs because you had the wrong product ID or the wrong import ID on it. You need to fill out this paperwork for us, and then that takes another month or 2 weeks. Because customs is because if your stuff comes in and it's paper filled out wrong is the problem the first time, they put it in a corner like Area 51 out there, and they don't care how much of a rush you're in, because they're there trying to be efficient and get shit stamped and out the door and make their money. And when yours comes in and causes them problems, I know customs agents that are just like, they then get your email about how important it is, and they're like, screw you, you should have done it right the first time. And it's just reality, man. I used to bring product over from my buddy in Japan when we were doing motorcycle parts, and that happened to us once with headlights. The headlights were labeled, the importer labeled them as headlights, which require a DOT certification if they're actually a headlamp, which they weren't. They were marker lights for motorcycles, which don't have to have any kind of licensing because they don't light the road as a primary light source. Don't have to go into it. But because my importer took the number I put and altered it by... they misunderstood, and they put headlight as a word, and the number was for marker light, and customs held them up, and I didn't get them for a month. And I'm like, oh, who do I need to shoot? Get this shit working. VGC, you just grabbed the Warcolor set. You really like the sample paints you were sent? Nice. I've heard they're really good. Zeb, I don't want to ignore you on this one. Just let me know if you have specifics, and I'll come back to it on what you were looking for. I don't know that did you say something? I'm not seeing you say anything specific on it. Azrael, 6 hours later, nearly done with highlights. Really nice edge highlighting on this. One thing I always say is be careful as you do armor, and with your edge highlighting that you've done a spectacular job. Nice, even edge highlights on this, right? Not a lot of blotchiness to them. It's great. Don't do every edge, all right? when you'll find very quickly that if you can take take one of these front fender panels here and imagine doing the top edges solid like you have, and then on this front edge blend it down to where it fades into nothing at the bottom, right? So you got it bright up here and then it fades into nothing at the bottom, and then no edge highlight on any of this down here. You know, maybe a little bit on this corner, like a little plus sign at the corner and nothing else. And what you'll do is you'll get a lot more depth, because if you've done on your black if you've got like a like a gray highlight up top, or if you're just using the flat black, once you line all of it in bright, it brings the entire panel up to the same level. So that's the only thing I would say is anything that you've got that runs vertical on this, all these horizontals you can leave bright, and that's due to the top one, right? You wouldn't highlight this line on the underneath. You'd do this one like you got, but don't do the one underneath it. And then on this, just bring it out a little bit and then fade it into nothing. And you'll find you'll really like the transition between panels when you do it that way. But I like this. Zeb, awesome, man. I want to see your whole Lizard Man army when it's done, dude. Because I feel like you've got a bajillion of them. But great technique on this, man. I think, like I said, just blend them down into one other thing you could do is you've got this nice kind of ghost gray, this mid gray. You could use a dark gray first and line it all like this with dark gray, like you've done, and then come back with this lighter gray and then fade it, and then it'll even pop more. Like legit. These are neat. These are really neat tanks when the guns aren't on them. I feel like when they got all the shit on them, these things are so out of control. It's like, good God, GW, did you have to put the kitchen sink on this tank? But I like the design of the tank. It's like the Land Raider Plus. I like it a lot. Tonight's project. Yep. Highlights till your eyes bleed, I feel like, right? Let's do a refresh real quick. Max Payne, working up some skin tones. What the hell is this that I'm looking at? What part of a thing is this? Is this like it's a Nurgle thing, I would assume? Yeah, I don't know what the model is, but I really like this. The skin tone is suitably pale to give you that disgusting look that I'm assuming goes with Nurgle, just judging from the armor panels. I'm not sure what the model is, but I dig this. That's really cool. Death Guard Blight Hauler. Oh, okay, yeah. I know it by name, but I don't know it without the whole thing put together visually. I like this a lot. Next pick is better. Ah, yeah, with the black background. Oh, yeah, now I see. Notice here, like we say, when you have all this bright background, how the white balance is blown out. Look, you can't see any shading in here. As soon as he puts it on the black background, now a lot of my contrast starts coming in, so I can see all this work that you've done in between your highlights. I like this a lot. Really good flesh. I like it a lot. I assume that all of this is going to be kind of the same bronze that you do the trim in. All of this, or are you going to do it with like rusted metal maybe, since you have this darker kind of flesh on it? Whatever you do, I like it. I like where this is headed. That skin gives you a really good contrast value-wise to the green too, as opposed to the standard kind of like, yellowy or again, kind of, disgusting, slimy green skin. Going with the pale flesh is a really good way to do it. All right, awesome. I like it. I like it. Good stuff. I feel like we got a lot accomplished. Hopefully you guys were able to kind of catch what I was throwing down as far as being able to paint in blacks and grays. We'll still work on this guy from time to time. I'll probably do some more work offline with him to show you some of the other textures, because by the end of it, what my goal really is to keep going like we did with like the texture on the leather here, how you can tell, the difference between metal, whatever this is, and whatever this is. In this case, skin, leather, and metal or polished some sort of armor. Right, it drags it down a little bit because I didn't paint the fins. Once I decide what we're going to do with the fins, that'll help that angle out a lot. But I'd like to continue on and I'd really like to complete the whole thing. I think at the end of the day, this will be a really good sample model to keep on to show people how if you do a painting simply from value, only focusing on brightness, darkness, and shape and relation to light on a model and forget color entirely, you really will push the limits and break down a bunch of the barriers that I think are probably in your brain that you don't know are there. that will help you then when you go back to deciding colors, how many blues do I need to do this if I were going to do this armor in blue, right? Because you'll be able to see like from the white to the gray to the black, and get a feel for, okay, now I know looking at this, if I wanted to build this up from blue, I need a really dark blue or purple. I need then a mid-tone blue, a light blue, and then a real electric bright ice kind of blue, for my top highlight, and then white to pop it at the very end. And so it'll help you build those colors because you'll see it in gray and you'll be able to see those staged transitions and then help you understand that if you wanted to put color on this, what it would have taken to do the same thing with color, right? Them's the goals. Fitzy, this is the avatar of the elephant from Cool Mini or Not's Wrath of Kings line. It comes in the Celestial Host box, which is this box here from Wrath of Kings. The Celestial Host. It comes with 2 of the avatar of the elephant, 2 of the avatar of the bear, 2 of the avatar of the snake, and 1 avatar of the monkey, which is kind of the lieutenant or leader is the monkey. Avatar of the monkey, 2 avatars of the snake, the elephants, and the bears. And all the models are different, which is cool. And there's also like there's an avatar of the I don't know if it's called the avatar of the tiger, but there's a big ass tiger. And then there's foxes. I have the other ones, don't I? Yeah, there's this guy, the Celestial Trickster, right, which are your specials, which are 2 foxes that are also part of the Celestial Host, right? It's meant as kind of a sub-faction to the Shale Han faction in the game. And there's also a big tiger, which I think is shoved inside the box here, so that at Adepticon they gave me these last year, a year ago they gave me these that was when they first released them, and I have 2 sets of this and 1 of these and then the tiger guy, and they're all kind of shoved into the same boxes here, so that I could bring them home from Adepticon without 18 million boxes. Good stuff. If you've never played Wrath of Kings, it's a great game, simple. And can be built anywhere from skirmish to, army, what I would call more army level play. Anywhere in between. It has a rule set that kind of transmits fairly well against, small, medium, large, size table games. And has some really neat combos and things like that in it. So it's a fun game. The Real Ashman, did I purposely pick an elephant because they can be gray? No, I picked him because he has so much different texture on him. Through the week, I was saying if you're going to do a trial like this, if you just do a model that's like, naked skin, that's one thing. You can practice value on skin. But on something like this where I've got wood, metal, I've got cloth, I've got leather, right, and skin, I've pretty much got everything that you'll be able to find on a miniature on here. I've got armor plates that could be painted either as, shiny metal, or it could be painted as, laminated plastics or leathers or whatever you wanted to do on this, right? And then wood grain and things with texture. His skin is very textured, which is really nice, but all of the different materials is why I picked him. I spent like an hour looking through tons of models, and I picked either him, and I had a Malifaux model that I was thinking about, this dude from Sonia Crid's deal, because again, skin, leathers, metallics, you name it, pretty much everything on here, but he didn't have wood and wasn't at a scale that was big enough to really show it off, well, so that was kind of the reasoning behind it. It could have been anything. It was just this was the first one that popped up that was easy to get going. The foxes and the pandas. I love all the Wrath of King stuff. The House Technus pigs are amazing. We gave away a ton of those in the old Friday night giveaways. The Nasir stuff is fantastic. They're like devils almost. The Garitzi, of course, are the wolfmen that we've been doing a lot of. We painted a few of those on stream. It was like this guy. They're the ones that harken back to the old Rackham stuff, right? So we've been using those for demos and things like that for tutorials. So, we've been painting the Garitzi, have the Wolfmen. The Shale Han before just had like foot troopers, and then there was one like, like Chinese dragon, with lots of loops and stuff in it, was really cool. But then they came out with the Celestials, like the elephant and all that, which was really cool to me because it has more of an Indian, Central Asian feel to it that I thought was really cool. But there's the Garitzi also have vampires. And you can build your armies really kind of in a flexible nature because it's built on a leader and then specials and troops and specials and elites. Or I forget what it's called. But it's pretty easy to build your list. Nothing has points. You just have slots based on army size. How many slots for troops can you take? How many leaders can you take? Or how many ranks can you take? And maybe one leader's a rank 1 and another one's a rank 2, and you get 3 leader ranks, so you could either take those 2 or one rank 3 leader. So it's kind of like that. It's cool. Yeah, Cool Mean or Not in general has great miniatures. The Wrath of King stuff is fantastic. The Dark Age stuff is fantastic. Those are the 2 miniature games that they back right now. They've got the Game of Thrones stuff coming out as a miniature game, which harkens back to kind of a War Machine fan, or a War Machine, a Warhammer Fantasy kind of age with big blocks of troops and wheeling and turning on the battlefield and movement playing a big part. But it's also got a lot of other neat mechanics in it, so I'm excited to get my hands on that when it happens. So, all sorts of cool stuff. Bitsy, you've been painting a table and chairs. Feel kind of small compared to what? Oh, the table and chairs feel small compared to the size of these models? Opaque Shadow, what's going on? How would you advise a beginner painter who wants to learn to paint for a display competition begin their journey? You want to, specific technique they should learn, books or videos they should absorb, anything like that? Well, Opaque Shadow, number 1, welcome. And then if you're asking, like, eventually what you want to do is get to that kind of competitive painting level, then I feel like your best place to start, like everything, is just pick it up and do it. And if you want to then push yourself... Are you going to bed? Yes. I'm getting a kiss! Watch this! Y'all be jealous now. Love you, baby. Good night. You feel bad?
I just need to
Okay.
my feet up.
All right. The biggest thing to start with is the fundamentals, and I break it down to sound almost comically simple. It's the right amount of paint and the right location, and that's the place to make sure that you have 100%. And that's kind of like I said, it's a little simple. It means stay in the lines, right? Control your thickness of paint so that it's not clumpy, so you get smooth paint. Even if you're not blending yet, if you're beginning, like if we go to tremendous beginner level, and all you're trying to do is, flat areas of paint on a model. I don't really have anything. I mean, this is kind of close. You can imagine, just stay in the lines. Make sure that paint doesn't go where it's not supposed to go, right? You get crisp edges on everything, and that it's smooth so that you can't see brush texture and things like that in your paint. And then once that's comfortable, if that's comfortable you already, then start with blending and working up how you're going to generate a transition from one color to the next so that you get, his kilt here looks like a heavy leather kilt, right? It's a little bit of a harder surface. It's got shinier edges to it. It's got deep recessed shadows, midtones, and then highlights, and how to make that all look like it's not painted with lines. That here's a color, here's a color, here's a color. That it just kind of, symbiotically grows one color out of the other. And that's the biggest place that most people spend their time in learning, getting comfortable with their blending of colors, mixing of colors so that it works on the model. And don't really, I would say that the big things to avoid are pushing yourself into techniques that are too difficult in concept before you have those fundamentals known, because especially if what your ultimate goal is to be competitive and do display quality pieces, those fundamentals are what will show every single time. And that's where most good judges and good people who critique your work will start saying, hey, let's first look at the fundamentals on this before we pick it apart for details and things like that. And let's start with the fact that you're a little sloppy with your paint here. Notice how the flesh around the hand gets on the cuff of the shirt, and where that change in the sculpt is. First tighten up those lines, because anytime you've got paint where it's not supposed to be, the brain and the eye go, and that ruins the experience for the viewer. So number 1, start there. Seems basic, but it's one of the biggest things that'll ruin you long term. Smooth blends, like I'm talking about, because again, your critique will start being like, hey, I'm seeing some texture on the model. I can see your brush strokes on something that's not meant to have texture. I don't think, it's okay if you're doing like fur and leather and you want the streakiness to give you a texture, but in skin, you probably don't want it a lot. Things like that. So that's where people are going to start I would say nitpicking your model as you go in that range, which is good as long as done in a positive critique manner and they're not slamming you. And then, from there, as you get smoother blends, then you start relating into, like, do you want to be a realistic painter? Do you want to be into more non-realism? And then learning the rules and the techniques that we talk about here all the time, like light and shadow, skin tones and flush. You can see how we're starting in to give some flush skin on him where you've got the pinkish on the white as he's kind of an albino white wolf. And, then you can start adding in those kind of effects and learn the techniques to do it, like, glazing and, washes and pin washes and weathering and all the stuff that we talk about on a daily basis here. But sometimes we miss on saying it's okay, focus on those fundamentals, because a good, solidly painted model that doesn't have all those techniques will still garner you more praise, right, than one where you try to go overboard with techniques you're not comfortable with and don't quite pull them off. Right? Because not making it to the finish line with a particular technique like non-metallic metal or whatever can ruin the whole idea of the model. And sometimes it's easier to just use the metallic paint, get your colors real nice and crisp and work there, get comfortable there, make sure that every time you pick up a model, you don't have any fear looking at it. I never pick up a model and I'm worried about what I'm going to do. You can throw a model at me, I don't care what it is. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to evaluate it the same as I always do. I'm going to look at it and say, okay, yeah, I kind of see, I got an idea of, where do I want my light to hit this guy, blah, 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 and I pick that, and then I go, and if we make mistakes along the way, I'm never abashed about it. I'm like, okay, cool, we'll just clean that up and we'll redo it. Or we don't like that color once it's on there, that was a bad idea, we redo it. So once you get to a point where those types of decisions are you just make them, you mess it up, cool, clean it, go back. Then you'll know you're on the right pace. So that's kind of I guess that would be my good fundamental early coaching. And then watch Twitch, watch YouTube videos, Google whatever it is you want to learn how to do, and come here and ask more questions like what you just did. Wednesdays, we do what we call Work in Progress Wednesdays with a Hobby Hangout, and you can come, and the entire 3 to 4 hour last week, or this last Wednesday, was Airdrop. Thank you for the follow. Last Wednesday was literally 5 hours of continually me looking at your stuff and giving critiques like what we're talking about, but then also applying it and, grabbing sample models that I've got laying around. We had a person, D2, ask us, one of our viewers, ask us about using metallics and building up glazes of metallics from dark to light like I do with base colors and how it works. And so I showed him, that you can use metallics to glaze up from, like this tinny tin to the bright gold on the top. So, we can take something very simple like that and just show you a quick technique and how to make it work and pull out some realism on your models, mixing paints, blending, anything, airbrushing, weathering, building terrain, anything you can come up with, we can show you some really cool techniques. And we've got a great crowd of people here to, boost you along and give you really good positive reinforcement as you're doing it. So tune in, keep watching, keep Googling, do all the good stuff that you're doing, it sounds like already. Jose, every time you see that model, you're in awe. It's one of your favorite I've ever painted. Which one? What are we talking about? The wolf dude? This guy? He's not even done. You like this guy? I like him too. It's a great sculpt. I had a lot of fun doing it. We did him really quick, just trying to get it ready, because this was back when I had a dream last Adepticon of actually playing my Greyscale painted. Yeah, that didn't happen.
Hey, somebody likes us.
So yeah, there's that. Xanadar, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Drago, it reminded you, had someone ask you last week at your Hobby Saturday event with Enigma at the SoCal Games and Comics, they asked if there's an ideal temp to keep paint at. Do you know if there's an ideal temp for that? Mr. Motorhead, thank you so much. Great name, by the way. Thank you so much for that follow. In the 70-degree Fahrenheit range, that what we call standard room temperature, 70 to 72 degrees, is your optimum paint temperature. So if somebody correct me, I think that's like 21, 22 C. Somebody correct me. I may be a little high on that, but I think it's like 20 to 21, 22 C.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Elric with 100 bits. Thank you, my friend. I feel like I'm right there, somewhere in that neighborhood. Anybody know? Anyone? Something like that. Anyway, but I got 2 months. Well, that was last year. This is a year-old challenge that I lost. Elric was to try to get my Greyscale on the table to play at last Adepticon. But yeah. Yeah, that kind of room temperature. Paint in and of itself with the polymer, the problem is that with acrylic polymer, freezing it hurts it the worst, in my opinion. Of course, boiling it is probably really bad too, but it's rare that it's going to boil. But I've had paints that have been in storage, before in like 100+ degree temperatures, and I've been able to pull them out and use them. The paints that I had in storage in Colorado when it dropped to sub-zero temperatures when I was out of town once, those did never really come back. So, I would say it's better to make sure that they are on the warm side than not. But room temperature. You'll probably learn something. You have to redo your army because you don't like the older ones. Yeah. There's a thing where you can get over that. It's called get over that and just finish and learn it to, because I tell a lot of people when we do our whip critiques, don't change what you painted because it looks solid. Just on the next one, take the techniques and the ideas that I'm giving to you and work them into the next one. I know for some people, if you're a completionist or you're a perfectionist, and when you try and you do it on the next one and the next one's like, oh my God, how did I not know this before? Then yeah, you'll want to go back and change the other one. But at least get to that point like you're saying. I always try to tell people, you've worked so hard on what you've got in front of you and it looks really solid. Just understand that this may help you later. Go do the next one now and see if it works for you, rather than spend more time on the model and maybe flub it up or try something you're not comfortable with or whatever. I much prefer you having completed models that you can play on the table with that look great, and then try these new techniques that we show you or that we give you pointers about on the next thing that you paint, because we're all going to paint something else, and keep moving that way. And if you're one of those people that when you do it, you reach your stride and then you want to go back and paint your army, great. Fine. Saves you money in the long run if you just repaint the same stuff over and over. Are we doing a Sunday stream again? Yes. Ray, we are.
Somebody likes us.
We are. Tree MD is stalking us. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Opaque Shadow, not a problem, man. Glad to have you. 24-hour stream? Hell no. Hell no. What are you, insane? What are you, insane?
Hey, somebody likes us.
24C, nice and cool. 24C is cool. Haro, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. I don't know. Was I that far off? 24 degrees C. Is that it? Okay, good. I feel like it was in the low 20s. Juicebox, what's going on? Welcome back. Still one more name. Dog. Time to walk the dog. 26-hour stream, another haircut for 10K followers. We might do something crazy for 10K. You guys get us to 10K and we will do something crazy, I guarantee it. It's minus 2C right now. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about that. Minus 40 with the wind chill. Nah, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to ask. It's probably like 60 here. 60 Fahrenheit. So, Crimea River. Right? It's so cold here. I'm freezing.
Bills, y'all.
Max Payne with the 10 bits. Thank you, my friend. He's letting you know so you don't jump too badly when he walks by the window in a few minutes. Oh, I got you. He's warning you. That's awesome. Otherwise, you're like, stalker. You're in the hobby room with the cats, not in here. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. I get to see the hobby room. Ooh. I'm going to bring my pad, and you guys are going to get to force me to draw your tattoo stuff while I'm there. I figure we'll just do it while I'm sitting in front of you. That way I can't escape. And I also may be bringing goodies for you, so we'll see. Trust me, Jace, I've lived in the single and negative digits before. I lived in New York for a long time in the upper East Coast and then in Colorado. I'm done with winter. Winter is my least favorite season. I liked winter because I got a lot done sitting in the house not doing anything. Like you couldn't go outside. So you always got more stuff done inside. But I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Done it for too long. Too long. Too long. All right, guys. Yeah, like Drago just alluded to, or I just alluded to by talking to Drago, next weekend we will not be having a stream next Friday. I know that's still a week away. We got a lot of streams before then. But next Friday we won't be streaming because I will be in Southern California at the Long War Doubles Tournament with Kenny, Rob, Juice, and Haspel. And I'm going to be painting live. I'm going to be painting Mortarion from the GW, the Primarch. I'll have him assembled, pre-highlighted, and probably some airbrush work done before I get out there so that I can just focus on brush work when I'm there. But feel free to come down, even if you're not taking part in the tournament. If you want to, please. There's still a few tickets left. Check it out. The Long War Doubles Tournament, again, at SoCal Games and Comics. But if you don't want to play in the tournament, it's not your gig, you still want to come and hang out with me in Southern California, it's in Temecula, feel free to drop by. It doesn't cost you anything to come sit with me, just chat, shoot the shit, watch me paint, ask questions live in person. We may have some stream time then. They say they've got really good internet. Enigma dropped in and said they got the fastest they could get, so as long as that rings true, I'm taking the stream rig and I'm going to set it all up. I don't guarantee quality. I'm going to take my camera and all that stuff, but we'll see ish. I don't know. Hopefully we'll be able to make it all work out. and I'll just be painting, having a good time, hanging out with the crew. Drago, still one more name, are putting me up. They got to deal with me for real. But if you got time, it'd be great to meet everyone face to face who lives down there in the Southern California world. So you got a week to plan. Treasure trove, no more treasure troves. Wah, wah, wah. We gave away over $6,500 worth of starter paint sets last year, not including shipping. Freaking awesome. 52 weeks of giveaways. But alas, they are gone. Do I have a link to the site or the info for the event? Lazy Dargon, Drago, do you have a link or anything? On Facebook, if you go Long Word Doubles, if you search for Long Word Doubles on Facebook, it should bring that up. I don't have a link. I don't know that they have a web link. But you can also Google SoCal Games and Comics, and they've got stuff out there. Or you can look for SoCal Games and Comics on Facebook as well, and it'll show you the dates. But it's next week. The tournament is Saturday and Sunday, the 20th and the 21st. I'll be there Friday night. We're doing a hangout on Friday night. Haspel's running some games. I'm going to try to sit down and learn the new GW, whatever the hell it's called, fantasy game. I'll be doing that with him. And then and I'll just be free painting during the weekend, having fun, shooting the shit. I got no rules that weekend. It should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun. There's Drago with the link. Thank you. Thank you, girl. Shadespire, that's it, Jace. Yep, I'll be learning Shadespire. Hoping. I really like the concept of the game. So I'm hoping that I can finally say there's a GW game I play. I like the model. I like the fact that the model count is low. I could actually paint an army for Shadespire, I feel like. I don't like a lot of the armies that are out right now, but that doesn't matter. Whatever. I'll play. I like orcs. There's not very many orcs I have to paint. So maybe I'll do something like that. Yeah. And I've got Shadespire here. I've been reading the rules. I have not played it. And I have not put together the snap-together models, the silly ones. But, yeah. So I'm going to play some Shadespire with him on Friday, I hope. And then just hang out and have a good time. I'm sure there will be dinners and lunches to be had and lots of screaming and yelling from people playing the game and me painting. So. Gizmo, what's happening? It's easier than the rules look on reading. Super easy. Seems like it's pretty easy. I don't think the rules look too complicated. I think they're jumbled like GW rules normally are. It kind of doesn't know what it wants to be when it grows up kind of thing. But some of the guys from your local shop played Shadespire and said it's really awesome. Yeah, it seems like a really good kind of quick, competitive, fun game. You know, I feel like in tabletop miniatures, the quicker a game can be, the more okay I am with the competitive nature of it. Because then when you get spanked, you don't feel so bad because you didn't have a big time investment. We talk about that a lot. Right. Gizmo, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. You know, and that's kind of where my head is at right now. I don't want to invest 3 hours in a game. You know, I don't even want to play Infinity lately. And Infinity is a great rule set, but the last tournament I went to really broke my spirit for Infinity because some of the people I had to play were a little shifty on the rules, and it just kind of broke my spirit because you put so much time and effort into it, and when you run up against anything that's negative, it has that much more impact. Right? And that wasn't the rules of the game, that was just the people. And it wasn't that they were necessarily bad people, it's just some bad instances came up. And some of them were my fault and some of them were their fault. It's just, overall, the experience was not good. So I'm more in the mind right now of fast games. Get it done. You know? Even like Star Wars X-Wing with all the meta in that game is quicker and easier to play. GW writing rules seems like an exercise in futility. They've never been a rules company. They're a miniature company that writes rules to sell miniatures, which is not a problem with that. But Axis of Entropy, hard agree on quicker games being better. Yeah, exactly. Small format 40K. Yep, exactly. You know, even like Patrol. What's it called? The skirmish level 40K stuff. What's it called? Patrols. I forget what it's called. But yeah, I'm a fan. Skirmish games, you know, when we were doing the Sunday show with Mike before he went back to Boston, that's what we were focused on. Arena Rex, fantastic game. Relic Blade, fantastic game, except for that one relic. Don't play with that one. Take it out of the deck, sacrifice it to whatever god you worship, burn it, get rid of it. I really want to try the new War Machine skirmish game. So it seems like its rule set is kind of cool. Whatever it's called, iron, whatever. Everything's iron, something, right? Combat Patrol, that's what it is. Yeah, Combat Patrol I like. I tried to play it at last year's Adepticon, but they were all filled up before I could get registered for it, so I missed out. You know, Necromunda is fast, although I don't like the way GW did the Necromunda thing this time around, but that doesn't mean I won't play it. But anyway, yeah, I like Wrath of Kings. Dark Age can be played with, I mean, my Dark Age army is 5 models, so, you know, whatever. It doesn't have to be a quick game, but I feel like it's still easier. Kill Team. Yeah, Kill Team's kind of odd. But everyone around here loves the big format stuff. Well, big format is fun too, man. For me personally, it just doesn't give me the same experience as being in, get out, have fun. And the game didn't take very long. So, like I said, if I get my butt kicked, because I'm a competitive person when I play, so if I get my ass kicked, I don't want to have it be a 3-hour ordeal to lose. Let's be honest. Nobody does, I don't think. You play 3 hours and you win, it's still exhausting. You play a full weekend tournament, it's really exhausting, especially if you didn't win any. For me, at least. I'm not a sore loser, I don't feel like, but I don't like losing. Yeah, I think once Necromunda fills out a little bit, that it'll get a lot better. They're using, I think, mostly the living rules, so it's had 20 years or so to get to where it's at. I don't think they've messed up too much of it. But again, I like trying out a bunch of new games. Like I said, Arena Rex has been fantastic. I feel like right now, if someone were to ask me what's the best miniature game to get them or their friends into the first time around, it's Arena Rex, Arena Rex, and Arena Rex. Relic Blade is a close second. Bushido was super fun, but it's complicated for a fast game. Eden is an amazing game. Both Eden and Bushido are played on 2x2 boards, which I think speeds the game up because you're in combat turn 1. You just can't avoid it. And what else? I'm looking at all the miniatures behind me here in the Wall of Death. Of course, I love Infinity. It's not going to happen fast. Well, I say that. I mean, tournament length is like an hour and 30, hour and 45 minutes for a round, right? But, there's so many good games. And like we said, as board games start to include more and more miniatures, I feel like that's another avenue that opens up amazing ways to play with miniatures. Last week was 42C. Isn't that the surface of the sun? Exactly, Drago. Oh, I definitely recommend Malifaux. It's not a quick game, though, Max Payne. I guess it can be, depending on the Soulstone level that you play at, but Malifaux is still a fairly involved game. And has that creep going with it right now, right? With the combos and everything that it has, it's got a lot of ability for not only, I don't just mean power creep, but just difficulty creep that adds to that timing. I think once you learn it, right, like any game, once you get it under your flesh and you just kind of live and breathe Malifaux, you can do it, bang. And I love Malifaux. It's a great game. I put it up there with Infinity with some of the best rules written out there right now. It's not going to happen as quick as Arena Rex. It's not going to be as easy to learn as... I mean, Jen and I played Arena Rex, and Jen knew it faster than I did. She just picked it up, and she doesn't play these games very often. And she's played Malifaux, and she likes Malifaux, but it has a lot more intricacy in how things interact and yada yada, whereas games like Arena Rex have some intricacy, but not so much. Not everybody's got a whole card worth of abilities. They've got like one special ability, and then the interactions that they work are pretty... I won't say blatantly obvious. You can still work some secret magic in that game, but it's a lot of fun, and it's really quick, and I could feel like, playing in a tournament season of Arena Rex would be something I could do. Because, like, you lose the tournament, you only spent, a half a day doing it, as opposed to a whole weekend. That kind of stuff, right? Do I know anything about Free Blades? I know the backstory behind the game, not narrative behind the game, but the general stuff. I'm not a passionate rules guy with it. I like Frostgrave, right? I feel like Frostgrave is a great game too. It can be pretty quick and has a neat set of rules that are kind of campaign oriented, like grow your warband kind of thing, which I really dig. I just don't have the time to invest in a gaming group locally that is in a campaign mode. I can't guarantee I'll be there to play all the time with the way we got things going on around here. Only one other person plays Malifaux Absinthe. That sucks. Frostgrave is good, yeah. Yep, exactly, Voodoo Chow. I like the fact that Frostgrave you can use anything you want, which is good. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I got to find something to shove down my throat and take some me time for the evening. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've been lurking in the background, please hit that follow button if you like anything that you've seen. And feel free to come back and join us again on Sunday. We'll be starting at noon Pacific, where Jen and I will be painting dual screen. I don't know what we'll be working on, but we'll figure something out and have some fun. And I'll get another pair of glasses so I can be painting too, because technically I steal Jen's glasses, because I've never been a big glasses wearer. So as long as we can remember tomorrow to go buy me some other glasses, we'll have 2 pairs of glasses and 2 people painting this weekend. So join us on Sunday for that. We'll have fun, and then we'll be back on Tuesday and Wednesday. No Friday show next week because we'll be live in Southern California, like we said. So if you live in the California area, then come by and join us in Temecula for that. I'll be painting live out there. It'll be a lot of fun. But until then, we'll see you on Sunday at noon and hang out with you more. If we don't see you on Sunday, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for hanging with us. I always love spending our Friday evenings with you guys, Saturday mornings for some of you. Thank you for hanging out with us. It's always great that you choose to spend your time with us. Have a wonderful weekend. We will catch you on the flip side. Adios, gang. Bye-bye.